So I can't remember what it's called, but it's like ding dong dong ding dong 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 dong. It's like a bass line. I've got just a bass line stuck in my head. Anyway, hopefully watching this Trump speech will help me get it out of my head. But yeah, let's see what's going on with the Trumpster today. He's making a speech. This is from a few days ago. York, Pennsylvania. In seems like a warehouse or factory. Oh yeah, there's one more, no, there's two more buttons I need to press. This button, yes. And then... there we go. Trumpster, what do you have to say to me today?
Components, a company that has helped to build and defend America for over 150 years. That's really an extraordinary achievement. I want to thank you, President Gary Butler, and the members of the wonderful Butler family, and members of Congress, Scott Perry and G.T. Thompson. You're here someplace in this very big factory, wherever you may be. There you are. Great people, great warriors, I will tell you.
I don't think that Trump knows what building he's in either.
My trade representative, Ambassador Robert Lighthizer, who's fantastic at a thing called trade. We did very well at trade, and you were fantastic, and I want to thank you, Bob, very much. And Chair of the York County Commissioners, Julie Wheeler. Thank you, Julie, very much. Thank you. And a very special congratulations to all of the people of York County today who are celebrating the 275th anniversary of York County's founding. That's pretty good, huh? That beats
270, that's a lot of years, right?
most of them out there.
That beats most of them out there. That's a very old city that's a colonization happened a long time ago here. Yo!
Let me thank the exceptionally skilled and talented workers with us in this room. I know you well. I know them from all over the country. They come, and they are the most talented people.
Thank you, Moe Noe.
Brilliant people in so many respects. So thank you all very much for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Shakespeare asks, what was there before 275 years ago?
The handiwork of precision custom components has strengthened the spine of America. Your products have gone into the Hoover Dam and atomic energy plants, nuclear submarines, and they currently are doing a lot of work. I'm here today to deliver a simple message. When I'm
oh, wow.
back in the White House, America's future will be built right here in Pennsylvania.
So, chat, I have no idea. Maybe it's... Oh, God. Should I just turn on the... See if it goes. Nope, it doesn't go. But thank you, Is it Come and Get Your Love? It should be. I love that song. That song is so good. Technoepoch, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships on YouTube. So Technoepoch and Double Dostoevsky, I'm looking for Tim Walz button. I'm looking for what you want to see as bonus content. Because when you donate, you get to also increase, you get to add percentages to the bonus content of your choice. So keep voting on it, and also understand that when you donate, you can tell me where to put your money. I will put your money where your mouth is, and you will actually add points to the subject of your choice. If I can just get those subjects from you, just let me know in the chat.
Pennsylvania. And it will be built by American workers like...
Also, you too, Moe Noe. Don't think I didn't notice. Thank you.
It's a big factor. And we've had great success, as you know, politically and otherwise in Pennsylvania. And we expect to have it again. We're doing very well here. Thank you very much. With your vote, we will unleash explosive economic growth and vast new prosperity for all of our citizens. We will put more money into your pockets and create millions and millions of new jobs. We're going to do it like nobody else has ever been able to do it. Our plan will massively cut taxes, unlock American energy, slash regulations, big factor, crack down on trade.
Wait, I think there was 2 donos to Throne. Did that chair get, like,
Stop outsourcing, rebuild our industrial base, and bring back those beautiful words, made in the USA. And we
See, the thing about his made in the USA shit is the main thing of this is like tariffs, right? And like, you know, it sounds good, right? It sounds like, you know, oh yeah, we raise tariffs so people that are trying to sell products that are from other countries, they can't sell them as easily, and then that'll make it be like that people will open up more factories in the US. And the problem is that like the United States has experienced deindustrialization, right? The infrastructure, the factories, the facilities to make stuff have moved out of the United States. And I mean, due to a lot of things beyond just tariffs, right? You can't like stimulate, I don't know, industrial growth, which is I guess what he thinks, you know, he's trying to appeal to here through just tariffs. What you end up doing is raising people's prices. And when you look at Trump's plans, when you look at Trump's economic policy, we're talking about, now I thought it was 2000. Like the last I checked, you know, it was going to raise the average median workers, you know, cost by $2,000, which is a lot if you don't make much money, right? At the DNC, I heard a speaker say it's something more along the order of $4,000. So, yeah, this is a massive. It's a tax. That's what it is. And yeah, you know, on some level, it's a tax on you know, overseas corporations, but it's also a tax that American American workers will end up paying. So yeah, he's full of shit here.
We were doing that 4 years ago and starting to do really well, and then we had to stop for an unknown reason. Together we will reclaim.
We had to stop for an unknown reason. This is what he does now, right? He's been told not to say the election was stolen, the election was his, you know, whatever, his election denial. He's been told that being backwards looking, being salty, it's not actually helping him. It's hurting him with swing voters. And if he wants to be back in the White House, he needs to win those swing voters. So in order to not say that, he's like, something kind of took us out of the mysteriously, I was plucked from the Oval Office. You know, it just makes him weirder and weirder, right? He has stopped saying the late great Hannibal Lecter. I have noticed that, right? He still says like asylums, and they're sending, you know, they're sending people from mental asylums, and they're sending you know, criminals and all this shit. But he does, at least doesn't say Hannibal Lecter. But like you can see sort of the effects of some of the coaching that he's getting, some of the things that he needs to hear, and the way that he finds a way to screw it up nonetheless. Let's let him go on.
Number one manufacturing superpower in the world. We will do it. And China won't even be close. Nobody will be. We had that going at a level that nobody's seen before, and we're going to have it going again even better. And this firm and this people standing behind me and in front of me will be a big factor. Every policy in Kamala Harris's radical liberal playbook sends jobs and wealth to other countries. The jobs go to other countries, and the wealth goes to other countries. Every policy in the Trump agenda is designed to bring...
Again, like, stopping greedflation, stopping price gouging does not send jobs to other countries. I don't know what he's talking about. But also, I just want to say thank you, Anonymous, for the $25 contribution to saving my butt. Literally saving my butt. Chat is saving my butt today. Thank you for the $25 contribution to that. Also, Moe Noabe, thank you for the $50 contribution to that. So yeah, we are well on our way as far. Oh my gosh, chat, well on our way on that sub goal. I will keep you updated with the outcome of the poll as well as the dono goal and everything as we go. Let's get back to Trump for now.
The jobs and wealth back home to America, where it belongs and where it's going to stay. Kamala puts America last. I put America first.
Now, here's the deal. When he says that, is it a dog whistle? It is classic nationalism, right? to say country for your country first, America first, whatever, right? Um, it's definitely a nationalist dog whistle, right? But America First is the name of Nick Fuentes' organization. Now, this is an organization that has kind of threatened to withdraw its support of Trump, that has said that they were going to go and make things hard for him, right? Declared war on Trump because of, I don't know, he's not racist enough or something. So is this him trying to be like, I hear you, groypers? I don't know. Is this him speaking to his groypers?
Some facts that are interesting. The year before I took office, the United States lost over 10,000 manufacturing jobs. Everybody said you'd never bring it back. But under my leadership, we created more than 500,000 manufacturing jobs in less than 3 years. After decades of wage stagnation and income surged, we had a surge.
Is he heartbroken? Megastar says he's heartbroken over losing Joe, right? And he was still coping. He was still hoping and coping that on Monday, Joe Biden would roll into the Democratic National Convention and say, I'm not leaving the race. Like, what is that? It's that thing that Emma always posts.
Like nobody's
what is that clip?
Never seen before, but it surged for everybody.
Is this rally in real time? No, we're catching up.
During the Trump administration,
we're going to do a few rallies today, right?
Everybody, men, women. We had every household was at a level that they've never really experienced before. The typical American household saw their incomes grow by more.
Again, he loves to brag about the Obama economy that kind of prevailed through the first 3 years of his administration. He doesn't like to talk about 2020. He doesn't like to talk about the overall net job loss, which, again, looking at that chart, I'll see if I can find it, right? He's like the only president that listed in recent history that had a net job loss. And Biden, for all that you can say about him, and yeah, I got some problems with Biden. Thank you, Anonymous, for the throne contribution, for contributing to my throne. The Biden, for all that you want to say about him, he presided over a net job gain of 400,000. I really wish I could show you that chart. I'm going to look for it, all right? Because the thing about Biden's numbers when it comes to job gains is that they're kind of off the chart, right? It's like one of those bar graphs where you see like the bars are the bars are like here and they're like here, and then Trump comes along and the bar's actually underneath, the bar's going down slightly, right? Because he net loss of jobs. And then when you get back to Biden, it's 400,000. Now this guy, when pressed about Biden's numbers versus his numbers, will say, well, that was the bounce back from the pandemic. And, of course, those aren't really his jobs. Those aren't Joe's jobs. Okay, so here's the deal. If it was the bounce back from the pandemic, right, then it wouldn't be like it's off the scale. Like, it's not like Trump added a bunch of jobs, then they all fell off, and then they bounced back and Biden got credit for them, right? It's like he's down here and Biden's up here. I'll see if I can find that. Is this Trump's hardware store basement rally? No, he says a factory. I'm not sure he knows the difference between a factory and say a warehouse. So I'm your guess is as good as mine. It's some industrial building, but
more than $4,200 per year. Everyone was better off when you had a gentleman named President Donald J. Trump at the helm. Does anybody know him? Whoever he may be.
Sad Trump. Does anybody know him? Does anybody remember President Donald J. Trump? The greatest president ever. The biggest ego in the White House. It'll barely fit in the Oval Office. Yeah, no, we remember. We remember, and those aren't pleasant memories. Look, nobody wants to go back to 2020. Nobody wants to remember that fucking misery that this guy plunged us into through his failed leadership. Nobody, I'm sorry. We remember Donald, but we don't want to remember. We would rather forget. If there was a way to scrub the shit stain off of the list of presidents, right? If there was a way to just take a Brillo pad to that 45 and just scrub it the fuck off, I think I'd go for that. I think I would go for that.
I kept every single promise I made to the workers of Pennsylvania and to every other place within our country.
Yes. Yes, Christy Z. It did. So yeah, those of you who are donating to Throne, make sure you can also let me know, even if you posted anonymously, even if you donated anonymously, let me know where you want that, which of these topics that are on the poll that you want to apply that to. Because when you donate, you get to apply that money to the poll. So you get to basically, for every US dollar, you're increasing the topic of your choice by one. That topic could also be Fallout New Vegas, that you want to see more gaming content. And that topic could also be Vox Populi, meaning that you want to like hand it over to the chatters, to the voters, and emphasize the votes and de-emphasize the donos. So, but just make sure to let me know, because there's a few of yours now that I have not gotten yet. But again, I'll try to pay attention to chat here.
On day one, I withdrew from the unfair job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership, and if I didn't do that, you wouldn't be open right now. You wouldn't have a job. That was a big thing. It was approved by another president. It would have
Shakespeare chooses violins.
in this country still further. I imposed historic tariffs on foreign aluminum and foreign steel, and numerous other things that were unfair to our country and unfair to our workers. I ended.
Yeah, that's right, Shakespeare. That's what I was talking about earlier. Nick Fuentes declared war on the Trump administration, on the Trump campaign. And really what he wants is he wants Trump to, I guess, be more openly racist. I guess there's some things that Trump said, some changes that Trump made, some of his platform that Nick Fuentes, Slippery Nick, and the Groypers do not like. So, yeah, he declared war. It was a week or so ago.
Total disaster known as NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made by this country, and replaced it with the brand new.
And again, replaced it with NAFTA, replaced it with Trumpfa, right? That's all he did. This guy is so slippery, right? He wants to brag. NAFTA, that job killing thing, that thing that everybody hates, right? Well, I took it down. I took care of it. I did away with it. Yeah. And then you replaced it with Trumpfa. You literally put your fucking name on it. It's what you did. That's a change that you made. This is the Trump NAFTA. Anyway.
USMCA, that's Mexico and Canada. The best trade deal ever made by our country. Although
it's the same deal. It's the same thing.
With China was probably even better. They had to buy $50 billion worth of our product, but after COVID, I don't even talk about it.
Oh, thank you, Christy.
$50 billion they had to buy, and they were buying it too. And I stood up to China like never before, bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars when no other president had gotten literally 10 cents from China. I brought in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. Never happened before. Nobody else literally got 10 cents. We passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history, and built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were at a level that nobody had ever seen before. And now we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it even bigger, better, stronger, and smarter.
What are you, Daft Punk?
When I left office, I handed Kamala and Crooked Joe.
Okay. I get what he's trying to do. At first, I thought he was just having memory problems, and he thought that Kamala had been president for the last 4 years. But what he's trying to do is kind of hitch Kamala to Biden's economy. Thanks, right? Considering that it's better than the Trump economy, you didn't hand over a good economy. You lost jobs. All right. Obama, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Reagan gained jobs, right? Gained jobs. You lost jobs, right? You did not hand over a good economy. You handed over a flaming pile of shit, my friend. You handed over a literal, like, shit-stained White House because your people came in and they wiped their shit. Sorry, not White House, the Capitol building. They wiped their shit all over the Capitol building. That's what you handed Biden. And don't try to loop, Kamala into an administration where her role was to break ties in the Senate and be sent down to Guatemala occasionally to do a negotiation, right? That's what. Anyway.
A surging economy with no inflation. You had no inflation. You had everything was good.
Everything was good. No, you had inflation. You had supply chain problems during the lockdown, during the height of the pandemic. Those continued. You had, the one good thing that Trump's ever done, which you never actually hear him talk about, but I do hear people, even Trump voters, I hear occasionally like a MAGA voter say that the issue that got them sold was the checks that he signed, the stimulus, right? The one good policy that he did, the stimulus, he never wants to talk about it. But again, that, positive, good policy that needed to happen, that he didn't want to do, it probably broke him up to do, right? But he had to do, otherwise the economy would have, gone downhill even more, right? But it also had the effect of putting more money into the economy. You got more money, chasing less goods. That is a recipe for inflation. Trump, your policies did the inflation. And if you were charitable to your opponent, I would be open to being charitable to you and saying, you know what? A lot of bad shit happened. And even though Trump didn't handle it well, and even though shit probably is worse than it needed to be, you can't blame it all on the person who was in the White House. But here you are blaming the flaming turd that you handed to those who took over in your place, right? The car wreck that you left in the ditch that Biden and Kamala got out of the ditch, here you are blaming them for all the problems that you caused. I'm sorry, my charitability has its limits.
Wages, no inflation. Now you have inflation at levels that I don't believe anyone's ever seen before.
That's nowhere close to true. There have been a ton of, you can find so many historical examples of inflation being way worse. In fact, right now, inflation has cooled. Inflation has cooled to the point where where they're considering a rate cut. The Fed is considering a rate cut, right? The rise in rates has done its job.
Your mortgage rate was 2.6%, but it was actually closer to 1.9 if you look at it.
Yeah. Shakespeare is bringing up the stagflation crisis of the 70s. You can think of so many. That's the thing, is it's like, it's not even hard to find many historical examples of worse inflations than what happened after the Trump administration, which, again, like I said, I'm not the kind of person to just like lash out and blame that on Trump, considering that there are reasons. There was a global inflation crisis, right? I will say that when you have a bad leader that people don't have confidence in, when you have somebody saying that the pandemic's going to be gone, it's just going to disappear. It's going to disappear all of a sudden. It'll be gone, right? And he said, no, it'll be gone by April, right? And it's still with us. It's still with us. It's still really bad. We didn't do enough in order to kind of, lower the infection rate in order to make it not be endemic, which it is now, right? It probably didn't have to be as bad as it was. Probably just the fact that you've got an incompetent reality show host or a president at that time made things slightly worse, right? But yeah, when you're going to go after Biden and Kamala over this and try to blame them for what happened under your administration, the fallout, the consequences, then yeah, I will fucking blame you, because at least some of that is your fault. It did not have to be as bad as it was, and it was worse partially because of Trump's his administration, his tenure in office.
The way that most people look at it, and gasoline had reached and was basically at levels of $1.87 a gallon, but we had months and moments where it was even less than that. Wouldn't that be nice? $1.87, Gary. That would be very nice.
Sir William says, "Thank you, Joe, for leaving." I mean, yeah, he's no business running another time.
Family likes it more than Jack.
But I gotta point out, right? What was the problem with Joe Biden? His age, his ability to string thoughts together, his ability to string words together. There's another guy that's a lot like Joe, and with Joe out of the way, it's a lot easier to see. It's a lot easier to see that maybe this guy should not be running for president. It's a lot easier to see that for the good of the country and the good of his party, honestly, right? If you want to have a competitive race, instead of what's shaping up to be possibly a landslide for Kamala Harris, right? If you want to have a competitive race, this geezer should step aside as well.
Gary's been around too long. The family likes it more. Our economic future had never looked brighter when Kamala and Biden came in. They quickly blew it all up, destroyed. 350,000 Americans joined the unemployment rolls last month. Did you know that? I keep hearing about their economy. Their economy is terrible. And the inflation is eating everybody alive, and it's been doing that for 3 years.
He has a tendency to do this, right? This is a pattern that we're seeing with Donald Trump. In fact, I would say that it's probably a lifelong pattern of blaming, causing problems, fucking up, driving every business that he touched into the ground, and then blaming other people for it, right? And here we go again.
No inflation, or almost no inflation. It kept going during the early part of this current administration, but it ended.
Yeah. Okay, so the early part of this current administration, Trump, right? Oh, geez. Who was there before, though, right? Because if it's the early part, then we can think that maybe it has something to do with what happened under the previous administration. Who was that? Who was the previous administration? Was it Obama? Were the Obamas in there? Was it George W. Bush? Was it Bill Clinton and Al Gore? Were they in there? No, wait, it was some other guy. Starts with a T. Can anyone remember? Donald J. Trump. Yes, the Trump administration. Like, it's right there. And it's so obvious. And it boggles my mind because it feels like he knows that he's lying. And he just thinks that we're that, he thinks that we're that clueless. That we're just be like, oh yeah, definitely. Some inflation that was going on at the very beginning of the Biden administration, while Biden is confirming his cabinet members, is confirming his officials, is getting into the White House, is getting started. Yes, that was definitely Biden's fault, right? That's what happened. Joe Biden got in there and he's like, we're going to have some inflation, Jack. I like high prices. Jack those prices the way the fuck up, Jack. I want those eggs to cost $5 a carton. Come on, Jack. Let's get that bacon more expensive. No, that's not what happened. That's not what fucking happened. You handed Biden Trumpflation. Can we call it Trumpflation? Can we just call it Trumpflation? Can we please call it Trumpflation? Because that's what it is, all right? And I'm sick of this, right? Again, I take a nuanced approach. If you really want to ask me who's responsible for what inflation, if you really want to ask me who's responsible for what job numbers, I'll say it's complicated, all right? But when you got this guy time and time again blaming other people for things that went on during his administration, it just makes me want to be like less good faith to him. It just makes me want to be like, nope, that was you. That was Trumpflation. That's the Trump economy. You left the fucking country a flaming pile of turds, right? And the fact that the country is not a flaming pile of turds right now, the fact that that inflation has all but disappeared, even though we still have an affordability crisis that's got a lot more to do with corporate greed, that's got a lot more to do with price gouging than it does with actual inflation, right? The economy's good, inflation has cooled, and they probably should have done a rate cut already.
Did very quickly, and then
he does think that we're rubes, yeah.
To levels, and so quickly, it went so fast.
Nonsense, exactly, Quick Dalton. This guy's nothing but nonsense.
And it was a shame, and it was all blown up and destroyed, and jobs were lost, a lot of jobs.
There's something about the way that he talks. Chat, tell me, does he hypnotize his audience? Is that what goes on? You ever heard him do the snake? One in chat if you've heard of the snake. Does Chad know about the snake? He likes to read this poem, which is actually also like a 70s song, I think, right? About a snake, about a woman and a snake. Woman sees a snake on the beach, and the snake is not doing well. The snake is about to die. And she's like, "Oh, you poor snake. Here, I'll take you in. I'll feed you. I'll put a nice little snake blanket on you. It'll be great." Right? And so she takes the snake in, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're getting healthier again. You're such a beautiful snake. Here, let me pet you." And the snake bites her, and she's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And he's like, I'm a fucking snake. What do you expect, right? And in his mind, I think the snake is supposed to be like immigrants. I think that's the message. He never really is clear about that. Just like he's never super clear about the late great Hannibal Lecter. But I think it's supposed to be immigrants. But if you actually listen to the poem, right? Who did America take in after a string of bankruptcies, after a failed business life, after losing money in the casino industry, which is not easy to do, right? They say that house always wins. That's for a reason, right? Casino, like every other industry, you are selling a product. And if people, you know what I mean? If you can make that work, if you can get the profits, it's good. But, sometimes maybe it doesn't work out. Sometimes the people aren't buying enough of the product, or the prices go down, or this or that. There's all kinds of things to worry. With a casino, you're not selling anything. You are raking. You were basically taking a big old rake and just raking money out of people, just pulling in money. He lost money as a casino owner, not just as one casino owner, three casinos, right? So America takes this guy in, gives him a chance, says, "You know what? We've had a lot of politicians. You're not a politician. You don't seem to know what you're talking about. You don't have any prior experience. But we've had a lot of politicians, and they didn't work out so well. We like you from TV. You're the guy that says you're fired. You're fired. Yeah, I love that. I love that when he said you're fired, right? You're the guy. You're Mr. Moneybags, right? Well, we want to be rich too. Let's let him in. Let's let Trump in. Let him in the White House. What's the worst that could happen?" I literally had Trump fans that were friends of mine. Okay, so just so you don't think that I live in some kind of hermetically sealed bubble around only like left-wing people, I have had a lot of friends that were Trump voters. Right? It's painful to talk to them. It's painful to, it's frustrating, but, I've had friends, and they're always telling me something like, "Hey, look, what's the worst that could happen? All right? What is the worst that could happen? This country has not been the same since this guy put his hands on it. Shit has gone bad. All right? And, yeah, we did have a, hopefully once in a lifetime public health crisis that contributed to that, but we also had a Trump crisis that contributed to that, right? And we've gone from a country where things like the peaceful transfer of power is just, it's assumed it's going to happen, right? Of course. When the incumbent loses the election, January, the incumbent moves out. Of course, he acknowledges, we ran a tough race. We tried our best, but, congratulations to my opponent. Everybody else does that. No problem. Not Trump. And now you've got a real situation on your hand. You've got a Supreme Court that most people consider illegitimate. You've got precedent being rolled back that is so unpopular that it is actually the driving force behind the Republicans underperforming in 2022, in every special election, in the off-year elections, right? You got an extremely unpopular policy that was passed through an illegitimate Supreme Court that's got 3 justices that this guy selected sitting on it. He brags about the court case in Florida being dropped, right? I don't know about that, Trump. That was your judge. Eileen Cannon, you appointed her. That looks, smells, and feels like corruption to me. And the whole judicial branch is fucking sus. And the whole Republican Party bows down to this guy like he's a fucking crime boss. And Chad, I'm not sure that he's not a crime boss. He's committed a lot of crimes. That's kind of what he does.
Lost. Our country is doing really badly under the...
As much as I've made fun of some of the libs for saying that they want to get back to brunch, they want to forget this guy like a bad dream. As much as I make fun of that, all right? And I do, because I believe that it is partially the Democrats that came before Trump that allowed something like this to happen. That the faith that was lost in politicians who campaigned on hope and change, but in the end just slow walked everything that we wanted them to do. I think there's a relationship, right? I think that weakens a democracy to have people play the voters that way. Say one thing to the voters and say another thing to the donors. I think there's a relationship there, right? I think that, moderate liberals, centrist liberals, DLC liberals have some explaining to do when it comes to this guy. I think that Hillary Clinton was a phenomenally weak candidate, right? I think that Donald Trump is kind of like a toenail fungus that takes over the body, and that's not supposed to happen. Right? Toenail fungus is not supposed to take down a human, all right? It's a pathogen. It can infest things, but a healthy host, a healthy human, just gets yellow toenails, okay? Normally. But so much about the way that the country's been run, so much about the neoliberal consensus with both Republicans and Democrats that's run the country since the 80s, I think sets up a weakened immune system and allows a charlatan, a con man like Donald Trump to go around. But with all the criticisms that I have for the hashtag resistance people that are like, can we just get back to brunch? I mean, look, brunch got you there, right? Voting, not your class, but your aspirational class, right? Giving up on policies that benefit the working class, giving up on policies that benefit poor people, right? That's what got you there. That's what opened up that hole that Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and his whole crew just ran right through. I don't think it had to happen this way. And I think that the American people deserve better. Even if we can't have, a party that full on stands for working people, even if our system is so corrupt, even if you got, a capitalist democracy and it's like having a fox in the chicken coop. The fox is, the capitalist and the chicken is us basically, right? Or democracy, right? You can have a fox and you can have a chicken. You can raise them both on the same farm, but you got to understand that fox is going to get in the hen house and it's going to eat it's going to erode those hens. It's going to erode the democracy, right? And when the democracy erodes enough, and when the people's faith in the government and fake, especially in the party that's supposed to be of the working class, goes downhill that far, you get shit like this. And I don't think that this should ever happen. I don't think that this needs to ever happen again. I really hope that the Democratic Party will learn something from this and will not take the working class for granted the way that they have. I'm hearing some acknowledgement of that in the speeches at the DNC, but I'm not hearing enough. All right. And I'm not hearing a government that's responsive enough to the fact that, most of the Democratic Party wants the U.S. to stop arming Israel, wants to at least make like military aid to Israel conditional on establishing a ceasefire, on stopping the carnage that's going on in Gaza. Right. That's at least a plurality of the Democrats want that. And yet they're not responsive, and they need to be. They need to be, right? We need to have a government. We need to have political parties that are responsible to the actual voters and not, patting our heads with one hand and giving the, capitalists everything they want with the other. Anyway.
Nobody wants to talk about it. The media doesn't like talking about it because the Democrats, they really protect themselves. It's pretty amazing. Someday the media is going to become real media instead of fake media, and you're going to see a big difference in the country.
So again, real media instead of fake media. In the 70s, Richard Nixon had a problem, and it was the media, right? He would put out his message, and the media would look into the message and say, this isn't true, this isn't true, this isn't true. And he'd be so frustrated. It's like, why can't we just put out our message, right? Why can't we just have our message and their message, and whichever one appeals to the people the most, should win, right? He didn't like the fact that he wasn't able to lie to the American people. He didn't like the fact that he had a skeptical media to deal with, right? This gatekeeper, this between himself and the voters, right? And he had people working for him. One of those people was Roger Ailes. If you recognize that name, it's because Roger Ailes worked at Fox News, ran Fox News for a really long time. Roger Ailes proposed to Donald Trump something that he called GOP TV, right? And what Roger Ailes said is, what we need a network that doesn't treat our message skeptically, that just takes our message and reports it, right? We need media that's in the tank for us. We need GOP TV. And Nixon looked at him and said, Roger, you're crazy. You're crazy. That'll never work. That's Pravda. People, the American people will never buy it, all right? And they didn't do it. They didn't do GOP TV. Richard Nixon retired in disgrace after the Watergate scandal became too much for him. And yeah, the kind of the media class that he was so afraid of swept over him and exposed him, right? As he should have been exposed. Years later, Roger Ailes was able to make GOP TV a reality, and it was called Fox News. And America's never been the same since, right? And yet all you hear about the crooked media, the lying media, the fake news media. They're in the tank for the Democrats. Look, the editorial part of MSNBC is in the tank for the Democrats, but that's because they modeled their programming off of Fox News, right? Fox News does have like news that goes on during part of the day that is like maybe like less biased than what you're familiar with from like Sean Hannity and Jesse Waters and the like. But they also, a big part of their programming is just editorial. And they led the way in that. And MSNBC said there's a space now for us to do that, but on the left. And so you've got a fucked up media atmosphere. You don't have the media as that gatekeeper to try to take the message from both parties and scratch the paint a little bit. See what's under the surface, kick the tires, test it out, stress test that shit. See what's actually true. You don't have that, right? You have Fox News, you have OAN, you have Newsmax that are, just complete propaganda, and then you have you have other networks that are basically worried about being considered liberal. And so what they'll do is they'll be like, okay, so we got a bad story about Donald Trump. We got to do a bad story about Joe Biden, right? Trump is corrupt as fuck. What do we got here? Oh, Hunter Biden. Yeah, let's talk about Hunter Biden, right? They've always got to find a bookend for everything that they do. They've always got to find another story on the other side. They can't cover a Donald Trump story that makes him look bad, and there's a lot of those stories out there. There's a lot to pick from. They can't cover that without covering a story that makes the Democrats look bad. And that gives this false sense of neutrality. This, one for you, one for me kind of thing, instead of objectivity, instead of just saying, this guy is lying, and he's like lying all the time. And like 90% of what comes out of his mouth is lies, right? You can't cover the lies without risking sounding like you are anti-Trump, like you've got Trump derangement disorder, Trump derangement syndrome. But the truth of the matter is that's just what they say about people who are acknowledging the truth about this guy. He is very corrupt. He's very dishonest. And he is in it for one person and one person only. And that person is Donald Trump.
Real incomes are down $2,000 a year since she took office. Kamala cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us the worst inflation in American history, costing a typical family $28,000. And under Kamala, we have fallen into manufacturing recession with 13,000 manufacturing jobs lost in the United States since just the start of this year. I don't know if you all know that, but that's what's happened. And it'll happen here, and it'll happen in this plant. It'll happen everywhere if she gets in. If Kamala gets in, the United States will rapidly become a deindustrialized third world nation, like so many others have become. She's running on socialist price controls, banning gas-powered cars and trucks, and private health insurance policies are gone. She wants to defund the police, abolish cash bail. She wants to abolish it immediately, cash bail. She wants to abolish ICE, get rid of the...
So yeah, now this speech is supposed to be about the economy. It's supposed to be about industry. He is sort of branching out now into his crime message, which we're going to hear more of in a second. We've got another Trump speech. I've missed a few of these, chat. Like I try to cover all the Trump speeches that are of note, and there's been a couple of these that I haven't been able to talk to you about. So we're trying to play catch up today while we're waiting for the Democrats to get their shit together and bring, I guess, Tim Walz, Bill Clinton, and Nancy Pelosi. Oh, and Pete Buttigieg. If you haven't gotten enough Buttigieg yet, chat, tonight is your night. You're going to get that Buttigieg. Do you remember the High Hopes? Anybody remember Pete Buttigieg's presidential campaign? And was it 2020 where he does the weird dance, the High Hopes? I don't remember. It was bad. It was cringe, but
incredible, brave patriots of ICE who take MS-13 gang members, probably the worst gang.
Okay, so since he's talking about his job record, right, and he's talking about the economy, let's take a look at what his actual job record was.
I will be the
Why are you
jobs president that God ever created.
Pennsylvania, we're going to bring back our...
fact check. God did not create Trump. It was far darker forces than God.
Jobs to the United States.
Why? Okay, sorry. I thought we could watch this. This is fucking music is my kryptonite, chat. Music is my kryptonite. I got all kinds of copyright claims on yesterday's VOD, and I'm not gonna fuck with it again. And it was shit like this. It was music that was backing a video that just is unnecessary. Let's see. Okay, so the main thing is just the text. So yeah, do you have drop in unemployment? Yes, you do. Some industries grew more than others. COVID caused a lot of job loss, but that's 11 million, right? Biden's record is a gain of, I think, 400 and something thousand jobs per year, right? So the entire, effect of the pandemic that they're citing here is 11 million in jobs losses. Trump's claim is that Biden's gains were actually a snap back into his economy, right? We're like from jobs that went away during COVID, right? And yet the Biden job gain in just like one average year of his term dwarfs this 11 million job loss. Okay, so his jobs record fell short of his promises. To oversee a net jobs loss in his 4-year term. This is what, 3 years ago, and in fact that did happen. He's got a net negative when it comes to jobs. But I think what this is supposed to be about is that his jobs record actually fell short of his promises even before COVID. Yeah, even before. So again, yeah, he gets handed an Obama economy, right, which is going pretty well, and Obama's got a fairly strong record in terms of jobs. And during the first 3 years, he's still adding jobs. He's still gaining. It's still like growth, but it's not. It's growth that's slowing down from the Obama administration. Pre-pandemic gains were right in line with what had occurred in the 6 years leading up to when Mr. Trump became president. So in other words, what you see with Trump and his jobs record is a continuation of a trend that was established in 8 years of Obama's administration. So again, tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations, if you don't know, this is called supply side economics. This is called trickle down economics. This is a theory that was espoused by Ronald Reagan, and it never worked. It never worked, right? The idea is you put money in the hands of the wealthy because the wealthy are job creators, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess, capitalists are the ones that, hire people, right? But there's no imperative when they get their taxes cut for them to hire more people. And in fact, if it doesn't make sense for them to hire more people, then they won't. They'll use it for a yacht. They'll invest it. They'll do something else with it. And indeed, that's just what most of the time what happens when you cut the taxes of the wealthy get richer. That's all. They get richer. They get more in control. They take up more of the pie. Think of the economy as a pie that we're all eating from, and you're just making their slice bigger, and you're just giving them more control over things. So yeah, he talks about farmers. He hurt farmers by engaging in and failing in a trade war with China, right? This was a net negative for the country. Anyway, this is not. I do not recommend Bloomberg Quick Take. This is kind of a low value video that they produced here. I was looking for something talking. It does speak to the broken promises, right, of his of his jobs record, but just
anywhere
Like I could have done with an infographic. If you're gonna, you might as well just give me an infographic.
in the world. Horrible situation. They take them out, and they take them out bravely. They're strong, they're fierce, and they love our country. She wants to give free health care for millions of illegal aliens and give them all citizenship into the United States immediately. And she then wants to sign them up for Medicare and Social Security. And she wants them to vote illegally if possible. Any way they can vote. They don't care if it's...
This is a gish gallop, isn't it? Right? You say a whole bunch of things, and you rely on the fact that if you make a laundry list, you know, if you say one thing that's untrue, right? It's easy to debunk. Okay, well, that's not true. Let's take a look at that. Or just ask the person, wait, so what's your proof of that, right? You're saying that she wants this. What do you base that on? What did Kamala say that led you to believe that, right? And with most of these things, there is no quote, there is no anything, there is no policy. He is just literally projecting negativity onto his opponent. But when he says a bunch of things, right, then what you have is the media sort of chooses like one of those things, they debunk that, and they leave the rest of it. So people kind of think, okay, well, he lied about that one thing, but what about all this other stuff?
It's legal or not. And they're signing people up as we speak. They're signing them up as we speak. They don't care. They don't care about the laws. Very simply, Kamala Harris is an economy wrecker and a country destroyer. Our country will be destroyed if she gets in. Her radical...
I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Our country was destroyed, and it was destroyed by this guy. It was destroyed by 4 years of this guy, and he wants another 4 years.
Liberal agenda ruined San Francisco. It ruined California when she was the Attorney General.
When she was the Attorney General? What does the Attorney General have to do with the economy? Right, you know what an Attorney General is? It's about law enforcement, right?
It crushed our middle class, demolished our border, set the world on fire, and now she wants to be promoted to the job killer in chief.
Again,
but much more than job
nothing to do with the Attorney General of California.
Killer. Everything else is going to go bad. She set the standard in California. Think of this. If you steal $950 or less, they're going to leave you alone. They can't be bothered. So
California is famous for locking people up with life sentences if they get convicted of, I think, 3 felonies.
You see criminals going into stores with a little computer, adding it up, everything they've stolen.
Well, they go in with a calculator, right? They go in with a calculator, a spreadsheet, you know what I mean? They're adding it all up at their leisure because they're like, oh, I'm too dumb to dumb. Yeah, that's right.
They want to stay under the 950, but they don't get prosecuted for above that. The only one that gets prosecuted is somebody who would talk about.
The only thing that I can think of that's close to what he's saying is that sometimes stores will, they won't go after a shoplifter until they've stolen a certain amount, because it's like after a certain amount it becomes a felony. I think that might be what he's talking about. And so they'll document the stealing with their security cameras, which stores have. And then when an individual is a repeat offender and adds up a certain total, and they can, you know, actually put a stiffer charge up against them, that's when they go after them.
The unfair election, they get prosecuted. But when you steal and rob and kill...
Wait, what did he say about the unfair election? He can't...
The unfair election...
Sorry, wait.
But they don't get prosecuted for above that. The only one that gets prosecuted is somebody who would talk about the unfair election.
What? What? Okay, you know what this is, right? He can't get the 2020 thing out of his head. His advisors, his campaign managers have told him, this is a losing issue. You're appealing, your base believes that your election was stolen, all right? You convinced them of that. You got them to go up in the halls of Congress and wipe their shit all over the wall, right? sit at Nancy Pelosi's desk and everything, right? So yeah, your base believes that, right? But we need more than your base to win the election. There's these swing voters. They might vote for Kamala, they might vote for you, and we need them to vote for us. And when you say 2020 election was stolen from me, when you're living in the past, when you're making these accusations, you're doing this election denial, you just look like a sore loser, and they're less likely to want to vote for you. So Donald, could you please not say that? So what happens is that they strike those lines from his speech, right? Where he would normally talk about like this as like as part of his fucking stump speech, right? They strike that out and they're like, all right, we're not going to say this. We're not going to say this. There you go. And he finds a way to work it back in. Yeah, stealing. Who else did some stealing? I believe that crooked Joe Biden stole an election. That was some stealing. Was that worth $950? Could he be prosecuted by Kamala Harris? I don't know, folks. It's just like he's looking for a way to work it in.
But when you steal and rob and kill and so many other things, when you sell drugs and destroy people's lives, nothing happens to you under Kamala. But we will not let this happen. We're not going to let it happen to our country. 78 days from now, Pennsylvania is going to tell her that we've had enough, that we can't take it anymore. And comrade Kamala Harris.
What do you think, chat? Comrade Kamala, is that going to work? Is that going to stick? Is that going to do anything for him?
You're fired. Get out. You're not doing the job. Get out.
I'm honestly kind of surprised he hasn't done the "you're fired" more. I feel like that's been in his tool bag. That's been in his toolkit forever. Like, geez, I feel like he said something about this involving Obama, wanting to tell Obama that he's fired, but it's kind of like Obama's term limited, so no, you're not firing Obama. He couldn't say it to Hillary because she wasn't in the office yet. He couldn't say it to Biden because he was the one that ultimately got fired. So now, since Kamala is vice president, I guess he can sort of work that in.
You're fired. While Biden and Harris have been impoverishing our country, they have been getting rich, very rich at your expense. Now, it just came out, just was reported today by...
Okay, what is bro talking about? They've been getting very rich? I mean, look, your kids got rich. There's some definite conflict of interest, some definite emoluments cases to be maybe looked into involving your kids, right? That got rich off of your presidency, but what's he going to say about Kamala and Biden getting rich?
A great young reporter, Brooke Singman at Fox, according to a 292-page report from the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means Committees in Congress, just got out a little while ago, just before I got here. I said, no, I want to talk about it just briefly. It's so sad because he's going to be making a speech tonight. And they don't call him Crooked Joe for no reason. They said President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and
wait a minute. So wait, there were some kind of like effort to impeach Biden that went on, but I feel like I thought that just ended. I thought I remembered there being like a salty tape of Marjorie Taylor Greene at the very end of the, they basically had that open and they thought about an impeachment, but I think they ultimately decided against it.
America to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democrat benefactors. And they said that those loans have never been repaid. Those are the...
I feel like there's somebody that got some money from undisclosed locations. right? That should have been in hawk, that may be in hawk to a number of foreign creditors, right? There was questions about where Trump's money comes from, considering like how badly he's managed his businesses, right? And this is where some of the Russian tie-in stuff comes from, right? Deutsche Bank, I believe, was confirmed, right, of making some loans to Trump that did not seem like, he was credit worthy for those, right? But people kind of wonder where the rest of his money came from, and some of the speculation is that it's Russian oligarchs, but I don't think that ended up getting looked into.
This kind of loans, aren't they? This report says in part that Vice President Biden.
Can you imagine being one of those? I'm guessing those are like what, CEOs, business people, factory owners. I don't know, standing there behind him. Can you imagine being like, okay, so here's the deal. You're going to stand behind the president for the entirety of his 50-minute speech. And when he says something cool, I don't know, smile, look happy, try to look interested, try not to look bored.
Actively participated in this conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with his family, foreign business partners, and speaking to them by phone, often being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden.
Oh my God! No, this is literally the same shit. This is literally the same shit. This is like, can you put the big man, the big guy, right? This is the big guy. They've looked into this. There was nothing there. They tried to go for this. They tried to dig. They didn't find anything. They didn't find any buried treasure, Donald. X did not mark the spot for Burisma. Sorry. Try again. He's desperately looking for somebody who's even like close to as corrupt as he was, right? And the best that he can do is point out the fucking train wreck that is Biden's son. But the effort to tie it to Joe Biden himself has just been a complete loss.
2014 dinner that Hunter Biden and his family attended with a Russian oligarch, and they said that after that dinner...
Do we really want to be talking about Russian oligarchs, Trump? Do you really want to bring that up?
That oligarch wired $3.5 million to Hunter Biden's firm very quickly. It was a very quick wiring. I'm sure he worked very hard for the money. Several witnesses testified that Hunter Biden invoked his father in business dealings with Romanian.
Yeah, so what we have is a fail son, right? That's the technical term for Hunter Biden. Donald Trump has a couple of fail sons of his own in terms of Donald Jr. and Eric Trump, and even a fail son-in-law when it comes to Jared Kushner, right? This guy is no stranger to nepotism. This guy is no stranger to giving his kids like opportunities that they are in no way qualified for, or, kind of using them to receive, to receive things on his behalf. This is where the whole emoluments thing comes into play, right? But yeah, in terms of Kushner, you've even got this guy given a diplomatic post to go negotiate on behalf of the United States between Israel and other countries in the Middle East, and completely cuts out the Palestinian people from any negotiation, directly, feeding into the what happened on October 7th, right? This is Trump's negotiation, Trump's naming his son-in-law to go negotiate, as if he was a diplomat, as if he had any business, doing anything like that, right, is directly responsible for the crisis that we're dealing with now between not just, in Israel and Gaza, which is bad enough, right? But bad enough, I'm understating it vastly, but like the conflict between Israel and Iran that threatens to plunge us into World War III, right? All because he nepotistically sent his fail son-in-law down there to do that negotiation. But yeah, with Hunter Biden, you did have him try to be like, try to get people's confidence by saying things like, yeah, my dad's Joe Biden. Did you know that? I can get him on the phone. I can get him on the phone right now. I could get him on the phone right now and call him up and be like, hey, Dad, you want, like, and he put the speakerphone on and be like, that's my dad. But that doesn't really apply to Joe Biden in any way. That is Hunter Biden having a very sad and
Chinese,
unproductive life.
Kazakhstani, and Ukrainian companies, in addition to other.
Is Trump a bit of a Nepo baby? Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. I believe he might have gotten some money from his dad.
Companies and people, resulting in millions and millions of dollars flowing into the.
Thimbo says he wishes his sons were half the Chads of Hunter.
As everybody knows, $3.5
That's right, the big guy.
million was sent from the mayor of Moscow, the mayor of Moscow's wife. Remember, I brought that up in the debate I had. I said, why did this happen? And the anchor wouldn't let me ask that question. They thought it was inappropriate, but then it blew up. $3.5 million was sent by the mayor of Moscow's wife to the family. They're also calling out Biden for his handling of classified documents. They said during his tenure as vice president, Joe Biden removed highly sensitive classified documents from the White House despite having no authority to do so. And remember, Comrade
Kamala?
She knew everything, and the senators knew what was going on.
She knew everything. It was her fault. No. This is such a layup. I didn't even think about this. Like, chat, he hypnotized me. Yeah, he does definitely have a hypnotic voice. That's what he's doing. That's the effect, right? If you're a Trump lover, you get hypnotized and you get lulled into this sense. But, like, he is talking about, this is such a layup, right? The real, like, if there's anything bad here, it's like on Hunter, right? He's trying to do a bank shot off of Hunter into Joe Biden, but now it's not even about Joe Biden, it's Kamala. So he's got to be like, yeah, and it was to benefit Biden, okay, citation motherfucking needed, but whatever, right? It's to benefit Biden, and you know who else knew about it? Kamala. Really? How? Well, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, you could imagine Kamala knowing about it, right? She's in the White House. The vice president, maybe she knew. Did she know something? Can you prove that she didn't know something?
Documents case, and I was totally exonerated. Totally. It was a case brought by.
Oh yeah, so there's this corrupt judge. It's literally a judge that he named, making some pretty questionable decisions, especially dismissing the case. And that case, chat, is now being appealed. And what's likely to happen is that it will be handed to a judge that doesn't have a massive conflict of interest the way that Judge Eileen Cannon does.
Joe Biden and Kamala, she was involved. They did that in order to interfere with the election. And it still goes on, different cases, but that was, according to most, the big one. And we were totally exonerated. The case was won a month ago. Very little coverage of the case being won, I must say. I think that a lot of the media didn't even talk about it. There's no way someone could have stolen that much money with.
Yeah, they're waiting to see what happens with the appeal, right? They did talk about it. They talked about it being dismissed, and they talked about the appeal. That's where we're at now. We're waiting for the results of the appeal.
Without Democrat senators knowing what was going on, he wined and dined them at Joe's houses. They saw his boats. They saw the way he lived.
Joe's houses? How come we haven't seen Joe's houses? How come we don't see that? Like, we know about Mar-a-Lago. We know about Trump's houses. We know about Trump's golf courses, right? How come all this, like, this supposed wealth that Joe is just, like, extracted from being president, we're not seeing in it. It doesn't show up. It's not covered. You don't see Joe Biden, sitting in some fucking mansion in West Palm Beach, right? How come you don't see that?
They saw his beautiful mansions. I would have made billions of dollars in this job if I wanted to play that game.
This is like a low energy Trump, though. This is a really low energy Trump.
The way they played it, but instead I took the job very seriously and very importantly. And
you can tell that he wanted to grift more. You can tell that he wanted to do more corruption. And somebody was like, don't do that. Don't do that.
You can see from the recently announced financial reports.
You can tell he at least looked into, you know, trying to get some money out of the office, right?
I don't need the money. And I'm proud to announce that
But no, instead he played it safe and his kids got the money, right? It's
being president, I lost billions of dollars. And I knew that would happen. Maybe not quite as much as that, but I'm satisfied with that because we want to make America great again. That's much more important.
Yeah, again, this guy's never even proven that he's a billionaire. He claims to be a billionaire. When it comes time to put up or shut up, right? Like when he's got that judgment against him and he can't pay, it doesn't really seem like he's a billionaire.
To make America great again. No, I could have played it the other way. I could have made so much. I see some of my friends over here. I could have made so much. No, I didn't want to do that. This is too important. This is too big a thing. We've got to save our country because our country is really in big trouble. We're a nation in decline.
Chat, we're dealing with Sleepy Donald here. I don't know if this is great content.
We're going down the drain. The drain is
I feel like I'm going down the drain watching the speech.
That you've heard so much about. They get rich and
the swamp that you were supposed to drain. That one. That one.
In Washington, some of these politicians, what they're doing to our country is disgraceful. But he's one of the leaders of the pack. You have others. The number one step we will take to launch a great American manufacturing renaissance will be to end Kamala Harris's war on American energy. It's a war. And you do know that inflation was caused by her.
I feel like some of these business leaders, they're going to fall asleep on their feet here. Like, I don't know how this is such a bad idea. Like, who was like, yeah, stand behind the president, right? For like people this age too. Like, can they stand for that long? Are they able to? Omega Star says, it's great content because we're slogging through it together. Well, thank you, Omega Star, for the 100 bits. And yes, we are. We are slogging through it.
Her cutback on energy. And then what they did is they, in a panic move, shortly thereafter, when the numbers for gasoline, oil, and electricity and everything else that comes from energy and out of energy, when they started going through the roof, they immediately went back to the Trump plan. But what they didn't go back to is my plan would have been doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled.
So no, here's his deal. Here's his deal, right? He wants to attack them on energy. Biden has now gotten it to the point where the United States is like the biggest energy producer on the planet, right? Yeah, net exporter. And so he can't criticize that anymore. So he's like, well, they did my plan. That was my plan that they did. They were doing my plan and they didn't do it as well because I would have made us the like 4 times biggest producer. I don't know, chat. It's
from the numbers.
I'm getting bored of him.
They had 4 years ago. They didn't do that. They brought it back to a.
I feel like America is getting bored with him. Stevie Wonder.
Going up. And you can bet that if we don't win, she takes over, your energy numbers will be triple and quadruple, and you won't be producing a drop of oil. They ended the largest oil reserve anywhere in the world, probably as large as.
Bet Savang says President Trump's intelligence is amazingly beautiful. Intelligence is amazing. Vibes are immaculate, right? Right, Bet Savang?
Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has this massive amount of oil. It's called Anwar in Alaska.
He is really tired, chat. He's making me tired, right? I had to eat some carbs just to like keep myself awake. I had to drink some Void coffee. Oh, I do. I have more Void coffee. Oh, thank God. Chat, get your energy drink if you've got some Ghost Energy or whatever you like to use to keep yourself awake. We are in this for a little bit of a long slog here. We're going to slog it out. Are you ready? Are you ready to slog with me? May think he's talking about real life scenarios and laws, but in reality, you're wrong. He's just having a stronk. He is having a bit of a... Okay, so the Elon thing, right? His Twitter space with Elon. Um, we listened to that. I heard a lot of different theories about why Trump was lisping. There's like just there's a lot of lisping, right? Some people thought it was an issue with dentures, um, but some people thought it was a stroke, right? There are people, there were people in my chat that night that have worked with the elderly, that work in care for the elderly, that say that sounds a lot like a stroke. And that may be what he's experiencing. I feel like, look at that. The two people to his left and to his right, they're falling asleep.
They ended it on close to day one. They ended it. Ronald Reagan couldn't get it. No other president got it. I got it.
Steve Banks says, I'm going to chew on some coffee beans. That's a good idea, Steve.
And it's bigger than Russia, bigger than Saudi Arabia, most likely. They seem to think biggest in the world. They've been after getting that approved for many, many decades. Ronald Reagan worked so hard to get it, he couldn't get it. I got it. And then they ended it. They were just set to start drilling. Everything was done, and he came into office.
Again, I don't know what your argument is, considering that the United States is like the greatest net energy producer in the world right now. I don't know what you expect, what you need, right? This is just like, we want to drill more. You didn't fuck up the earth enough, right? There was like a wildlife refuge that you didn't totally fuck up to get at some more oil. Like, what is he talking about?
He ended it. On day one, I will tell the frackers and energy workers of Pennsylvania to drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. He's going to fall asleep. I'm going to fall asleep. He's softening his ego. It's a great strategy. Did you cover how he left his bullet glass protector at the rally to help the bullet glass protector? No, we didn't cover his high-powered ear piercing, his high-powered cartilage piercing that he got. And honestly, I'd forgotten about it until you mentioned it. It kind of feels like a million years ago.
And she's totally a non-fracker, you know that, until a few months.
She's one of those non-frackers. What is this, pro-shippers versus anti-shippers? Chat, I don't know how long I can hang with this debate. All right, let's take a look and see. Oh, look, the Democrats are, wow, that's a party. That's a vibe. Look at that. Is this Stevie Wonder? Well, I wish we could listen to it, chat, but again, I've gotten effed over recently quite a bit for this, copyrighted music that they play during the convention. So I'm not gonna have it happen again. I don't know what the deal is with the live music. Is the live music, like, are you allowed to show that? I'm not taking any chances, okay? I'm not taking any chances. It's too dangerous. Not gonna risk it for the biscuit. The great Stevie Wonder, the great not late Stevie Wonder. This is Sleepy Donald hours. Sleepy Donald.
Just like on tips, we're not going to tax tips. All of a sudden, she comes out and she says the same thing.
So no, here's where I would say that you're kind of sus, Donald, right? Because you say we're not going to tax tips, right? But did you know that it's really easy for people to reclassify some of their payment as a tip, right? So potentially, like, somebody like a hedge fund manager, which is not who Americans are thinking of when you say no taxes on tips. That's not who you're thinking of getting a tax break, right? But that kind of person could say, yeah, no, this payment was actually a tip, it was a mandatory tip, right? So, she's got like a limit, right? So it's no tax on tips, but there's a limit, so that it's targeted for, employees that are actually, not making very much, right? So that it doesn't get abused by by rich people just trying to cheat on their taxes, right? Which is what your plan would have done. It's a giant loophole for more rich people to pay less taxes. And you're talking about a country where billionaires tend to pay like an overall 8% tax rate, right? They've already got enough loopholes as it is, but he wants to give them more.
Exactly the same words that I used months later, and other things. She's like trying to copy my policy, but it takes much more than copying a policy.
See, they're never gonna you got to stick on one. You got to stick on one. It's either Comrade Kamala or it's Copycat Kamala. You kind of just can't have them both, right? This is what Hillary Clinton did with him, right? There were so many things. It was a target-rich environment for Trump, right? What do you attack him on? Grab him by the pussy? There's so many things. There's so many different things that you could attack him on, right? And Hillary was like, well, I'll just attack him on everything. And nothing stuck. It's like a bed of nails. You lay down on a bed of nails and you don't hurt yourself. You don't even scratch yourself, right? You lay down on one nail and that nail will go right through your butt. You sit down on one nail or a tack or something like that. That tack, sticks in your butt, right? So it's instead with Donald Trump, it's like a bed of nails, but he's kind of making the same mistake as Hillary in terms of, if he's going to do the nickname thing, he's got to have one nickname. What was it? Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe. These are good ones. Little Rhonda. Wait, what was the other one for Ron DeSantis? Lion Ted Cruz, right? You come up with one nickname and it sticks and it works and it has the effect that you want it to have, right? You come up with too many nicknames and you got nothing. And that's where he's ending up now.
Anyway, our country's going to be in serious trouble. But she was a non-fracker, no fracking under any circumstance. She's like 100 times saying, I will not frack. Look at her debates. There will be no fracking, will be no. Then a few months ago, she said, we'd love to frack. With a politician, they go back to their original thought. There will be no fracking if she's elected in Pennsylvania or anywhere else. You'll have energy that will go up 3, 4, 5 times. You'll be paying $10 a gallon for gasoline and a lot higher than that. Unleashing American energy will reduce prices, launch record-setting.
Donald Trump's like, you know what? When you turn on your sink water and hold up a lighter to it, you want that shit to go up in flames, don't you? You want to be able to light your sink water on fire, don't you? If you're if it's a night and your electricity goes out, you need a light. You just light up your sink. You just pour a little water in there, light it up, right? We need more fracking.
Economic growth, create millions and millions of jobs, and produce higher wages for the American worker. You can't be a manufacturing powerhouse unless you have low-cost energy. We will have low-cost energy. Electricity rates for a Chinese factory are more than 50% lower than the price of electricity for an American factory. And we were 4 years ago at really getting it along, and then we were hit with the COVID came in. We focused on that. We did a great job. If we didn't do a great job on that, we would have been in a depression.
I think I might have found something a lot more exciting. Chat, I'm falling asleep here. I don't know about you. I can't stick with this. I can't stick with this. This is too boring. All right. We gotta do something, chat. We gotta make this fun. All right. Trump blames Mexico. You're never gonna believe what he's blaming Mexico. For his shooting. For his shooting attempt. Let's see what's up with this. This has got to be more interesting than this Trump speech. Anyway, there's one more Trump speech I want to go over. I've also got some stuff to do with the protests, right? To go do with the uncommitted vote, to do with the pressure that's being applied to Kamala and Walz and the rest of the team to differentiate themselves from Biden's foreign policy on Gaza. So we're going to look into that in a second. We'll see if we get to that second Trump speech or not. But for now, I want to see what this is all about.
Pennsylvania. Donald Trump did that at a speech, I guess that's what they're calling it these days, that he gave in Howell, Michigan. While that was taking place, the Democrats were holding the Democratic National Convention where they were talking about joy and it was fun and they had great speakers who are talking about discrete policies to move America forward. Going back to Donald Trump's speech in Howell, Michigan, the topic Trump was supposed to speak about was crime. Donald Trump basically did not talk about that at all. Instead, Donald Trump talked about himself. He attacked Vice President Kamala Harris's appearance and her laughing, and he went on with all of that. And then he said the reason that he thinks he could have gotten shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, he said is because
Can't argue with his economic policy. Time Flyer, what's wrong? Are you not smart enough to argue with his economic policy? It's discredited Reaganomics. Everybody knows it doesn't work. The fact of the matter is, it's not that you can't argue with his economic policy. It's that you don't have to argue with his economic policy because it's already been disproven by like 40 years of time, right? This is trickle down economics. This is like give money to the rich. The rich are going to create jobs and it's going to make everything better for everybody, right? It doesn't happen. Trickle down economics is just inviting the rich to piss all over you. It's just giving free money to wealthy people. It's giving them extra tax breaks. And like I told you, the rich don't fucking pay their taxes in this country. They exploit you at your job. They overcharge you for products and services. They squeeze money out of you in every fucking way possible. And then on top of that, they don't fucking pay their taxes. They've got accountants to figure out how they can avoid taxes, how they can offshore that money.
Of his positions about Mexican factories. He said perhaps because he's calling Mexican factories dangerous, that is why the shooting took place in Butler, Pennsylvania.
He's blaming Mexico for his shooting.
I know
he's blaming Mexico for his shooting.
Really kind of went unnoticed in his speech, but we noticed it here in the Midas Touch Network. Here, play this clip.
But they're building some of the biggest plants. And I have a friend who builds plants. He said some of the biggest in the world, I think he's doing them, are being built in Mexico. And they're going to sell cars, produce them and sell them in this country with no tax. It's not going to happen. And I told him, I said, you better hope I don't win. Always dangerous to say these things. Maybe that's why I get shot at and other people don't. Right, John?
Well, thank you.
That's probably...
Thank you, Shakespeare. So this is the other speech that I wanted to look at. This is his crime speech. We might save this for tomorrow, chat. We might save this for tomorrow.
Probably why I get shot at. Other people, they'll protect other people because they can't believe they got so lucky. But I have to do it.
Wait, what is he saying?
What I have to do.
Now again, how pathetic can you be that you are spreading unhinged conspiracies?
And who is they? The police? The local police? The Secret Service? Who exactly is they? Who is he blaming?
And blaming what?
Because he better not be trying to blame his Secret Service. He's literally those people saved his life, right? And he put him in more danger, right? When he jumps up and he's like, "Give me my shoes, give me my shoes." They're supposed to get him the fuck out of there, right? It's what they're supposed to do. But motherfucker wants to farm clips like he's a FaZe Clan member. He wants to pump his fists and say fight, fight, fight instead of getting the fuck out of there, getting to safety and avoiding what could have been another shooter. If there had been another shooter, chat, if that had been an actual plan by multiple people instead of just one person, Trump would have been blown away and probably, his Secret Service detail with him.
Mexico for the shooting that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. We know who the shooter was, an adult male Republican who belonged to the gun range, and it was a Second Amendment, fetishization kind of MAGA.
Belonged to the gun range. Yeah, it's like the country club.
Person. We know who the shooter was, the family.
I feel like it wasn't the story on him that they wouldn't let him near the gun range because he was such a bad shot. He was so dangerous to be around, right? He tried to be on his riflery team for the school, which I didn't even know was a thing. My school did not have a riflery team, for the record. And they kicked him off because he was too dangerous.
Had the MAGA signs in their house. This was a Republican family that, in fact, the Trump.
I mean, this is true. He's a Republican. He was a debate lord. And he was kind of like a right winger who didn't like any of the candidates. He didn't like Bernie. Didn't like Trump. Didn't like his school. His schoolmates would say stuff like, he thought he was smarter than everyone. he would debate you, you would be like, he'd be like, who do you like? And you'd be like, Bernie. And he'd be like, oh, Bernie fucking sucks. It's just, right. Who do you like? Trump. Oh, Trump fucking sucks. Right. I don't know who he was for. But apparently Trump was like not conservative enough for him. So, I mean, I don't know what that tells you.
Campaign targeted in 2016 with
catch up here. I don't know if I could support any conspiracy theories here, but I have noticed though that the hashtag staged on Twitter has not let up, right? That was getting posted. People were sharing those kind of conspiracy theories when it happened, and they're still talking about that, right? It's apparently a lot of people don't believe that they think there's something more to what happened. I can't find any information to say that, it'd be weird for him to have staged it, but but there are some weird things about that, like, right, a lack of medical details, I think, is kind of fed into it. In a way, it's almost like his own birth certificate shit, right? You know how he came to power talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate, doing birtherism? You know how he came to power doing that? It's almost like it's come back to bite him in the ass. And since he hasn't released his like long form medical records, or really any medical records, right, or really any proof that that his ear was actually hit by a bullet, right? People have started to speculate
on a list, and they targeted the ads towards this family, but you have to ask yourself, why is Donald Trump continuing to behave the way he is about this shooting? Now, remember about 2 weeks ago or so when Donald Trump held a press conference, and he was asked, this was, I think, a press conference that he held in Mar-a-Lago, and he was asked about the shooting. Here's what Donald Trump said. He said that the bullet hit him on the lobe. He doesn't really know what the lobe is, clearly. And then he said that he's a quick healer, and then that's
the lobe is down.
That's why the AR-15 bullet left no marks at all. Here, play this clip.
Yeah. Pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered. No, it didn't hit.
He was a Destiny enjoyer too. I don't know.
I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it. Yeah, a little bit, not much.
Miska's bringing up that Trump was in the WWE. So now he wasn't a wrestler, right? But he was like a celebrity. Sometimes they bring out like celebrities into and have them do some wrestling. They bring them into the action, and yeah, blading is common in the WWE. But the idea of him having like a blade there, and or anybody on that stage, right, having a blade and using it to cut his ear to kind of fake an injury when there was none, it's kind of like, I feel like that would have gotten picked up by a camera, right? Remember, he's got so many cameras on him, right? There was so many, anybody could have been filming from any angle. So the idea that he'd be able to hide something like that, I don't know.
On top.
It definitely was not the lobe.
And look, we've previously shown you photos of Donald Trump's ear, the specific ear where the bullet apparently...
You said that jokingly. Okay.
Hit, and if it's an AR-15 bullet that hit his ear, you could see his ear right there. Let me show you. This is what the FBI director, Christopher...
Time Flyer says transfer of wealth and destruction of the middle class happened under Biden. Citation motherfucking needed. Time Flyer. That is an interesting narrative that you've got there. I wonder if you got it from Trump's dirty ass by chance. By chance. Is that where that came from?
Christopher Wray said when he went before Congress, and he said, look, with respect to the shoot.
Look, if you want to talk about the upper class extracting wealth from the lower class, then let's talk about the price gouging that Kamala is actually got a plan to fight to make that illegal. What does Trump got again? Nothing. Just whining, complaining, bitching, blaming things that went on during his administration on the next administration, just like he blames Obama for stuff, right? It's everybody else's fault except for Trump. Somehow magically, even though these events took place under Trump, even though his failed leadership under COVID caused a lot of these problems, right? It's everybody else's fault.
We don't really know if it was the bullet, if it was shrapnel, if it was a piece of the bullet. Play this clip.
I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that hit his ear. So it's conceivable. Although, as I sit here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else. But I believe we've accounted for all of the shots in the cartridges. So let us.
Right. So Donald Trump.
Again, what you've got is the wealthy. And also, you got to be really clear, Time Flyer, what you're asking for, right? Because it sounds like to me that you think that some redistribution of the wealth is in order. Would you say that? Are you in favor of redistribution of wealth? Because if that's what you're here to argue for, then welcome to the left, comrade Time Flyer. Welcome in. I'm glad that your class consciousness has finally reached a level where you're willing to call for a redistribution of the wealth at the very least, if not seizing the means of production outright. You are to the left, unironically, of Joe Biden and Comrade Kamala.
Trump's response to that was to call for FBI Director Christopher Wray to be arrested. Christopher Wray is the FBI director who Donald Trump appointed. He's a Republican, a lifelong Republican. But here Donald Trump writes, Chris Wray is a liar and a criminal, and I hope he's reading this. And that's, he's quoting Tucker Carlson there. And then Donald Trump reposts this from Laura Loomer. What did you know and when did you know about it? Read truth if you want to know who ordered the assassination of Donald Trump. So Donald Trump spreading another conspiracy. Donald Trump spread the conspiracy I showed you at the outset of this video. Now he's saying somehow his position on Mexican factories led to the shooting. I mean, how pathetic can you be that that's what...
So yeah, this is a conspiracy theory. Look, I call out left-wing conspiracy theories. Like I don't see any evidence that Trump faked the ear thing. I just don't see any evidence of that, right? And I gotta say, the Occam's razor is that Trump didn't have a razor, right? But at the same time, I gotta call out. I mean, this is Trump with a conspiracy theory saying somebody in Mexico ordered connecting a Republican, a 20-year-old Republican to Mexico, right? The cartels? Is that what he's trying to say? I don't even know how to make this make sense because it just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
With this. And here he's now saying that somehow his own Republican FBI director, who he appointed, who he said was a great guy. Now Donald Trump is basically implying that.
Remember the scene when Ben Stein and Ferris Bueller's Day Off discusses voodoo economics? No, actually. I don't know if I've seen that. I've heard of it.
That Christopher Wray was behind his assassination. What, with the Mexican factory workers? Laura Loomer, who's one of...
Oh, no, the factory workers. I'm sorry. It's the Mexican factory workers. It's not the cartels. It's the factory workers. They got to this 20-year-old debate lord, this 20-year-old Republican debate lord with a Trump sign outside of his house, right? Who, if anything, had a problem with Trump not being conservative enough. We're going to blame him. And connect that to what? Factories in Mexico? This doesn't make sense.
Donald Trump's kind of right-hand allies, one of the top MAGA surrogates right now. She goes, Donald Trump retweeted this photo on Truth Social that insinuates that FBI Director Christopher Wray may have been involved with or even ordered the attempted assassination of Trump.
You just got loomered.
Trump. We can't trust the FBI. The attempted assassination was an inside job. I like to cook. It's a great way to unwind.
No, we're going right into the ad. God, that's like an expensive version of HelloFresh, isn't it? Oh, yo, get these shoes. Right, Chad, this is almost as cool as Sunday's Sunkini. This is almost as cool as the President Sunday, the Bikini.
Assassination Edition sneakers for $299. He's still selling them. In fact, he's expanded his offerings. He now has 9 different kinds of Trump footwear, assassination sneakers that he is selling.
Assassination sneakers. That's pretty cool.
You could even get the fight, fight, fight boots. You could get the fight, fight, fight black sneakers, assassination edition, limited edition. He's going to be selling them the same way he's selling Bibles, sticky Bibles for 60.
Sticky Bibles? How do they get sticky? Did JD Vance do something to the Bibles? What's going on, chat? What is up with this campaign? Why are they so weird? How do they have sticky Bibles? I don't understand.
He's selling assassination edition sneakers right here. You know, and as we're kind of watching all
why are they sticky? I don't get it.
Donald Trump saying in Howell, Michigan, you know, there was that speech that was given last night that really resonated with me, which compared Donald Trump to Maduro, that compared Donald Trump to Castro, that compared Donald Trump to, you know, all of these kind of actual communist leaders in South America. Ana Navarro, Republican, gave this speech and she fled communism in Nicaragua. And so she goes, look, I know a lot about this. I want you to watch as she describes and compares the behavior of Trump to Maduro, to Castro, and other South American dictators. Watch this, and then I want to link this to the shooting in Butler with the assassination attempt on Maduro.
Okay, chat, we got to check out what the sticky Bible is all about, right? Okay, so I was thinking it was like made of Post-it notes or something, so you could take out the Bible page and you could stick it somewhere. Okay, so this is the sticky Bible. I bought Trump's Bible. This is the Bible that, what does it come? It comes with a Bill of Rights. It comes with a copy of the lyrics to God Save America. God Save America, no. God Bless America. No. What is it called? God bless the USA, right? It's got God Bless the USA's lyrics. It's got the Bill of Rights. It's got the Bible. This is the sticky Bible. There was a time not so long ago that Donald Trump did not seem to be very familiar at all with the Bible. When he first ran for the nomination of a very Christian Republican Party, Trump was unable to name a single Bible verse. What's your favorite Bible verse? I like all of them. It's all really good. I can't pick a favorite. Right. Early in his 2016 presidential campaign, he referred to the Eucharist as a little cracker. Yeah, when they give you the little cracker, you get the little cracker, little wine glass. It's pretty cool. It's pretty nice, right? In a subsequent church visit, he attempted to prove his religious credentials. He put cash in a plate that was meant to hold communion. He put cash on the communion plate. Wow. How times have changed. All Americans need a Bible in their home. I have many. Of course he does. Right next to his copy of Mein Kampf, right? It's my favorite book, Trump declared in March in a video he posted on Truth Social. Truth Social is what it's called. I'm proud to endorse and encourage you get this Bible. We can make America pray again. Oh my God. He's still selling shit. In the video, Trump, who has a long history endorsing and selling things true, is clutching the God Bless the USA Bible, a patriotic take on the holy text. Trump is now hawking for $59.99, which seems to me, chat, I don't remember the last time I bought a Bible, but I think it was cheaper than $59.99. I want to have a lot of people have it. Okay. Trump continued, you have to have it for your heart and for your soul. Yeah, one for your heart, one for your soul. You buy 2 for a limited time only. You can get it for only $119.99, right? We'll cut out $10 for you. You buy 2 for slightly less. Well, who am I to defy a one-term, twice impeached former president who is currently in a trial over hush money payment to a porn star? So I bought it. Buying something from Donald Trump is fraught with danger. Trump is known for not following through on business agreements. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, literally hundreds of people, including lawyers, carpenters, painters, came forward to accuse Trump of not paying them for their work, for their services rendered, right? Happily, the Bible, which cost $83.37, excuse me, after taxes and shipping. Jesus Christ, seriously? So $59.99? No, it's $83.37. Eventually arrived. Chat, if you speak leet speak, right? 8337 is actually the word beet. B-E-E-T, like a beet that you eat, like a sugar beet. I don't think that's why it's 8337 though. I don't think that Donald Trump is Tehaxor, unfortunately, right? Eagerly tore open the packaging, held the bag upside down, and out of it plopped what is essentially a Christian nationalist fantasy, a Christian nationalist wet dream, even. A Bible that is all American flags and bald eagles, founding documents, and lyrics to the patriotic anthem slotted in alongside the holy text. In the front of the Bible has an embossed U.S. flag with the back. In the back are glossy pages bearing some of America's most sacred documents: the Declaration of Independence, the Pledge of Allegiance, the lyrics to Lean Greenwood's 1980 whatever hit, "God Bless the USA," a song which is played on repeat at Trump's political rallies. Why doesn't it have the lyrics to YMCA? That's the song I associate with Trump. They should have YMCA in there too. Anyway, these pages are illustrated with the American flag and some of the country's best regarded things: the bald eagle, yes, but also the Statue of Liberty. What appears to be a musket, the Capitol building, which he desecrated with his crowd, which somewhat ironically was attacked. Yeah, exactly what I was saying, by supporters of Trump 3 years ago. One of the more intriguing questions in the FAQ question in the Trump Bible is, what if the Bible has sticky pages? What? My Bible did indeed have sticky pages, but no bother. The FAQ guidance explains that the sticky pages are a common problem with new Bibles, and directed the reader to a YouTube video that does a wonderful job of explaining how to break your new Bible in. Is this like breaking it in like JD Vance style? Are they going to put lube in the Bible? What's going on, chat? That video is 6 minutes long. I feel like we got to watch this. Right? It shows a man unboxing what is objectively a better looking Bible than the God Bless the USA version, then flipping through the entire book page by page, separating the pages in a somewhat tedious process. The man says, he's right. The Trump Bible, which uses the public domain text from the King James's version, has 1,350 thin to the point of translucent pages. So cheap paper in that Bible. And I wasn't about to go through the entire thing, but all the good stuff appears to be here. There's Noah's desperately bundling animals on a big boat, Job having his life ruined because of what amounts to a wager with God and the devil, and the book of Leviticus, much of which is given over to the correct way to sacrifice animals. For a bullock, sprinkle its blood around the altar and wash its innards before setting it on fire. If you're offering up a pigeon, be sure to wring off its head before plucking. You don't have to pay $59.99 for that kind of content. Search Free Bible online. There are hundreds of places that are literally giving it away for free. But this Trump-endorsed Bible represents something special for his supporters, said Kristen Dumays, a professor at Calvin University whose research focuses on intersection of gender, religion, and politics. My sense is that most people aren't buying this Bible to read it, Dumays said. They're buying the Bible to have it. And so it doesn't matter that it's sticky. They're never going to open it, right? And to participate in the kind of shared identity, to put $60 down and say, yes, this is my guy. I'm committed to this. This is my faith. This is Trump in the Bible, basically. Trump becomes a Bible hero. The shared identity of the embracing of the myth of Christian America, Dumays says, the idea that America was founded as a distinctly Christian nation is a proto-conservative white evangelical version of the country which never really existed. It's that shared vision of a mythical past and a commitment to restoring some semblance of the kind of mythical order. So in other words, palingenetic ultranationalism. After those early fumbles, he attempted... Okay, so wait. After those early fumbles, he attempted to appeal to Christians. Early fumbles as he attempted to appeal to Christians. Trump was ultimately embraced by evangelicals who make up much of the GOP, the same GOP taking a hatchet to church-state separation. In fact, the former president's relationship with the religious right is now deepening to the extent that Trump is comfortable with comparing himself to their messiah, further cementing the bonds. The bond goes some way towards explaining Trump's decision to promote God Bless the USA, but it's also the financial aspect. Trump owes more than $500 million as a result of civil court convictions. He is facing 88 felony charges, I think it's more now, in 5 different jurisdictions, and lawyers cost money unless you don't pay them, which often he doesn't. While the God Bless the USA website says the Bible is not owned, managed, or controlled by Donald Trump, it adds that the venture uses Donald J. Trump's likeness, name, image, under paid license from CIC Ventures LLC. Trump, according to a financial disclosure report filed last year, is the manager, president, secretary, and treasurer of CIC Ventures LLC. Happy days for Trump then. Although this Bible wheeze has gone down. Sorry, I don't speak British English. Although this Bible wheeze has not gone down well with everyone. Blasphemous and disgusting was the verdict from Pastor Lauren Livingston, a conservative evangelical who leads the Central Church in North Carolina. A pastor in South Carolina said this Bible was a commandment violation. Oh, it is. Wait, not just that, right, chat? So I know a little bit about the Bible, right? Let's see, what did I do? When I was a kid, I read the Old Testament, except for Numbers, right? Because Numbers is just, you can't read Numbers, all right? I'm sorry, you can't read Numbers, right? But I read the Old Testament. I started to read the New Testament, but I got bored, right? The New Testament, very boring. So I skipped to the book of Revelations, which is really fucking cool. There's some cool shit. There's dragons, there's beasts, there's horrors. It's great. I love the book of Revelations. Highly recommended, right? But one interesting thing about how it ends is that, like, there's some kind of commandment of, like, none shall add anything to this book, lest they have plagues fall upon their head or something like that, right? So in other words, what they're saying is that, like, this is the end of the Bible, and if you try to be like, nah, I'm going to put another book in the Bible, you're going to die most horribly. God's going to do some Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom shit to you, right? God is going to fuck you up. Don't put anything else in the Bible. This is it. This is done. We're done. We're rapping, right? They said that we're rapping, right? And Trump is adding the Declaration of Independence, Lee Greenwood's song, and a whole bunch of other shit that's not in the Bible. He's literally calling down the plagues upon himself, chat. His face is gonna melt. It's gonna be like Indiana Jones, right? Commandment violation, while Raphael Warnock, the Democratic Georgia senator and pastor himself, also was not happy. The Bible does not need Donald Trump's endorsement, Warnock told CNN. And Jesus, in his very last week of life, chased the money changers out of the temple. True. I did read that part of the Bible, right? But again, most of the New Testament, not really that great. Those who would, except for the Book of Acts, right? The Book of Acts is great if you are a fan of Philip K. Dick. You probably need to, if you want to understand Philip K. Dick, read the Book of Acts. That's all I'm saying, chat. It helps. Those who would take sacred things and use them as cheap relics to be sold in the marketplace. And it is unclear how many of these cheap relics have been sold. As early as May, God Bless America, God Bless the USA Bibles were still available for sale online, unlike the Trump licensed sneakers he was hawking earlier this year, apparently sold out, maybe, I don't know. After the failure of Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, Trump Mortgage, Trump Magazine, various Trump casinos, 3 of them, in fact, and the Trump board game, Trumpnopoly, I guess, perhaps the former president has finally given his name to a winning product at $59.99 a pop for what it is, objectively, a quite poorly printed, rather sticky book. The God Bless the USA Bible looks like a fairly safe bet. maybe those lawyers will get paid after all. Probably not, though. Probably not. So here's how to break in your Bible. All right. Now, this isn't the Trump Bible. But so the sticky pages are not maybe exclusive to the Trump Bible. But if you want to break in your Bible, I feel like people this is a fetish for somebody. Like somebody's watching this and they're getting bricked up. It's like breaking in a sex doll. So anyway, this is how you break. Okay, so let's see. God bless the USA Bible unboxing. This is from Trump Train. Shall we? Damn it, there's music. They're also selling coins, apparently. All right, so we got to cut into it. All aboard that Trump train, baby. Toot, toot. Trump train. Whatever happened to what are they called? Remember the choir? There was like a choir. There was like three or four girls that like, was it the Deplorable Choir or something? I can't remember what they were called. But yeah, there's the Trump Bible. God bless the USA. God bless America. America. I mean, is it normal though for a Bible to have like really thin pages? Yep, it's sticky. It's sticky. You can tell it's sticking together. Really big print. You can tell the demographic they're going for here. So what about the cool part of the Bible, right? Can we get to the cool part? Yeah, come on. Let's get to the cool part. You got Revelations? Yes, Revelations. There we go, chat. That's the cool book. Read that one. That one's really good. The Constitution. Powers of impeachment right there. Power of impeachment right there. We got, what is that? The Declaration, I think. Lee Greenwood's signed thing. Yeah, that's the Declaration of Independence. I mean, yeah, this is literally a violation of the last sentence of the book of Revelations, right? You're not supposed to add any words to the text, right? And they're literally doing that. This section of the Trump Bible is literally pulling down a curse, an Indiana Jones style curse, right? Melting faces, frogs, locusts, all that shit, right? Any and all of that shit, right? On the makers of this Bible and I don't know, maybe on the purchaser. But there we go. That's the Trump Bible. That's the God Bless the USA Bible. All aboard that Trump train. Anyway, let's finish this. So yeah.
Link this all together. Here, play this clip.
Let's be serious. Donald Trump and his minions call Kamala a communist. I know communism. I fled communism in Nicaragua when I was 8 years old.
Chat, I'm sorry.
I don't take it.
I'm sorry, but we got our communist right here. There's the number one communist.
Still, to strengthen our alliances, I almost croaked.
Meow.
For first debate of this election season when President Trump said nobody respected America anymore.
He doesn't seem well. This is Bill Clinton.
Wait. And with a straight face.
Wait, what was the joke? What was the joke?
Look, you got to give he was president. When President Trump said,
Thank you, Omega Star.
respected America anymore, like they did when he was president. Wait. And with a straight face. Look, you got to give him. He's a good actor. With a straight face, he cited as evidence of the respect that existed for us when he was there, the presidents of North Korea and Russia.
Yeah, he is a weasel for sure.
I'd rather have the
Weasel!
people who respect us now.
Weasel!
And one of the things,
I don't know.
one of the things is when you send a signal to the other countries, you want them to know whether they agree with you or not, at least that you're on the level. Here's where you are and what you believe. What are they supposed to make to these endless tributes to the late, great
Hannibal Lecter. Okay. There we go.
I mean, President Obama once gave me the great honor of saying I was the explainer-in-chief. Folks, I've thought about it, and I don't know what to say.
I mean, what can you say, right? There's literally nothing to say.
Like Hakeem Jeffries, I too want an America that's more joyful, more inclusive, more future-focused. Just think what a burden it's been on us to get up day after day after day after day, buried in meaningless hot rhetoric, when there's so many opportunities out there, so many problems that need to be solved. I want that. And that's the America Kamala Harris will lead. And she's already made her first presidential decision, and she knocked it out of the park when she asked Governor Tim Walz to be her nominee for vice president. As they used to say when I was a young man growing up in Arkansas, you do not have to be all broke out with brilliance. You just look at Tim Walz, listen to him, follow his record as a teacher, as a coach in the National Guard, as a congressman, where he was the only Democrat, save one, elected in that district in more than 100 years. And he stayed a long time. And then he became a great governor.
Late, great Hannibal Lecter would like to have you for dinner.
By all accounts, he was a crack shot who had the courage among his rural constituents to say, we do not need these assault weapons available to people who can kill our kids in school. So, armed with her first decision, Kamala Harris confronts an interesting dilemma. We're going to walk out of here feeling pretty good, I think. We've got energy, we are happy, we feel like a load's off our shoulders. And we know we're just being asked to fight the same fight
Meow.
the forces of progress have had to fight for 250 years. In the face of stiff and often violent opposition, we have to find a way to go forward together, where we the people make our union more perfect. So that's a good thing. How could we possibly lose? Kamala Harris has fought for kids her whole life that were left out and left behind. She's taken on gangs trafficking across the border. She's fought to protect the rights of homeowners. She's been our leader in the fight
Shakespeare, I'm good. Thanks. I found the sticky Bible stuff myself.
for reproductive freedoms, and we know a majority of the American people are with us on that. And she's gained an invaluable amount of experience as vice president, advancing our values and interests around the world. She's already said she's going to work really hard to make sure that no American working full-time lives in poverty or has to worry about their children living in poverty.
Why would they have Clinton speak? Yeah, good question. It just brings up more questions than answers, really.
Gotta make home ownership
And you know that more stuff is going to come out about this guy.
she said,
Like, he's a ticking time bomb.
meant a lot to me, that she would protect everybody's right to vote, whether or not they voted for her. They were citizens, and they deserve the right to vote. The other day, her opponent implied that as his people voted one more time, they'd be able to rig it from now on and they wouldn't have to vote again. You think they're kidding, but I know a lot of these folks, and most of them are really good people, but some of them think that they are bound to dominate America politically, economically, and socially, and they have to use politics to do it, and they should rig the system. I don't believe that. And so here's what I want to tell you. We've seen more than one election slip away from us when we thought it couldn't happen, when people got distracted by phony issues or overconfident. This is a brutal, tough business. I want you to be happy. One of the reasons that President-to-be Harris is doing so well is that we're all so happy. But you should never underestimate your adversary. And these people are really good at distracting us, at triggering doubt, at triggering buyer's remorse. As the Obama said so eloquently last night,
I mean,
they are human, you know.
you can tell he was hurt by Hillary's
We
loss.
got to be tough. And so, as somebody who spends a lot of time in small towns and rural areas in New York and Arkansas and other places, I urge you to talk to all your neighbors. I urge you to meet people where they are. I urge you not to demean them, but not to pretend you don't disagree with them if you do. Treat them with respect, just the way you'd like them to treat you. Ask for their help and then follow our leader, Kamala, and ask them, how can I help you? We Democrats right now have a lot of hay in the barn. We've got massive achievements, massive advances, but there's still a lot of slips between today and Election Day that we have to navigate. And so I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I have no idea how many more of these I'll be able to come to. I started in '76, and I've been to every one since. But no, 72. Lord, I'm getting old. But 72. Lord, I'm getting old. But here's what I want you to know. If you vote for this team, if you can get them elected and let them bring in this breath of fresh air, you will be proud of it for the rest of your life. Your children will be proud of it. Your grandchildren will be proud of it. Take it from a man who once had the honor to be called in this convention the man from hope. We need Kamala Harris, the president of joy, to lead us. So, I'll be doing my part, you do yours. I'll see you when we're making a real joyful noise when the votes are counted. God bless you. And God bless.
All right, chat, make a joyful nose. No! God damn, they did it to me again. They did it to me again, chat. Oh no, this is just like, this is looking like a scene out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I gotta say, I said this about the Republican convention too, didn't I? This feels like the lounge lizard scene from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Nine seconds is the cutoff for copyright music, chat says. Okay, so let me look and see my magic guidance book that tells me... Oh, apparently we've got Oprah Winfrey speaking as well tonight. There's Nancy Pelosi. We're going to wait until she gets to the podium and actually starts speaking, because probably before then there'll be some kind of... I don't know what Nancy Pelosi's theme song would be, right? But I'm sure she has one. They all have a theme song. She's like the healthiest looking one out there ever since she retired. She's been looking good.
Hello, California. Hello, Maryland. Hello, Democrats. On January 20th, 2021, with the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times. And we quickly proved that Democrats deliver. Millions of jobs, stronger infrastructure and rural broadband, a Biden child tax credit, rescuing human pensions, honoring our veterans, bold climate action, lowering the cost of prescription drugs.
Chat, she may have a denture issue.
Vision of a fairer America.
Either that or she forgot to spit out her gum.
And justice for all. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. She's the one that pushed him out. That's the word on the street, chat. This is the mafia tough that pushed Joe out of.
That Vice President Harris is ready to take us to new heights. I've known Kamala Harris for decades. Personally, I know her a person of deep faith, which is reflected in her community care and service. Officially, she is a leader of strength and wisdom and eloquence on policy, most recently demonstrated fighting for women's right to choose.
All right, so just to update you, the rest of the evening.
She is astute and strategic in winning difficult elections, quickly securing the nomination with dignity and grace, and choosing Tim Walz as our vice president.
We got Governor Josh Shapiro next, Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada after that.
Tim for 12 years in the Congress. He united Democrats, Republicans, and independents to turn a red district blue.
A few more.
He showed courage when he came to Congress in voting for the Affordable Care Act, meeting the needs of his constituents despite Republicans' lies and misrepresentation. When he went home, won the election, he returned to Congress.
Oh, they're late. Wait, no, they're not late.
Our Americans' heroes as the Democratic leader.
They're on time, actually. It sounds like.
Thank you.
Maybe. I don't know, chat. They might be like 20 minutes late.
January 6th was a perilous moment for our democracy. Never before had a president of the United States so brazenly assaulted the bedrock of our democracy, so gleefully embraced political violence, so willfully betrayed his oath of office. Let us not forget who assaulted democracy on January 6th. He did. But let us not forget who saved democracy that day. We did. And thank God we had a Democratic House of Representatives then. We returned to the Capitol that very same night. We insisted on certifying the election results on the floors of the House and the Senate. And we demonstrated to America and to the world that American democracy prevailed. The parable of January 6th reminds us that our democracy is only as strong as the courage and commitment.
Did she say human pensions? It sounded like it.
And we must choose leaders who believe in free and fair elections, who respect the peaceful transfer of power. The choice couldn't be clearer. Those leaders are Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. When the sun rose on January 7th, as our national anthem declares, we gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
You know, there's been some good speeches in the past few nights, and this is...
To stand together, to reject autocracy, to choose democracy, and we will do so by electing a Democratic House with Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House. Electing a Democratic Senate, electing Tim Walz as Vice President of the United States, and electing Kamala Harris as the President of the United States. Onward to victory.
I don't know, chat. Something feels off on this night. I don't know if it's gonna get better when Walz comes on. Maybe it's me. My stomach kind of was like hurting. Okay, so she's done. She's done. They didn't even play her off, did they?
Alexander Hudlin.
Okay, so I don't know who this is. Oh wait, I think this is like a poet laureate or something. Alexander Hudlin? I don't see actually. I don't see any of these people. I'm looking at a list, right? It's supposed to be Shapiro next. Not Ben Shapiro, Josh Shapiro, of course. Of course, chat. What do you think? They're going to bring on Ben Shapiro. He's a Democrat now. Wow, that's like... I don't know. Oh, wait. Okay. Emhoff. That's the... Oh, wait. Are these...
She'll treat everyone with respect. Even as a kid, Auntie made me feel that I was seen, that my words are important, that I am important and loved. I know she'll value others' perspectives, no matter their age or their background.
Auntie, we love you.
We're so proud of you.
And most importantly, you're a baller. And as you'd say, let's win this thing.
Let's win this thing.
Please welcome nominee for U.S. Congress in California, Latifah Simon.
9 seconds, they say. 9 seconds. Now, I don't see her listed on... So there are apparently... whatever I've got is the... 3+ updates? Do they update this? Let's see if I've got a better guidebook. But yeah, I don't know why. I just like my stomach started hurting. Okay, so where are we at? It looks yeah. I'm confused. Shapiro was supposed to be next. Some of these speakers, they're not listing. So either they added people to the program or they just, I didn't get a list that's got the updates.
And
Okay, Shapiro's next.
I saw Kamala Harris holding the hands of sexual assault survivors. I saw scores of mothers who lost their babies to gun violence lining up day after day at the courthouse, waiting only to speak to Kamala because they knew that she would hear them, that she would truly see them. Because there's something about Kamala Harris. For those who know her, you know. When she hears your story, she carries it with her. When she sees you, she truly sees you. She truly sees you.
You're making her sound like a cult leader.
The best among us. After working with Kamala,
I thought AOC was the best at Among Us.
for 5 years to create programs that supported young people to get out of the criminal justice system once and for all with good jobs, with opportunity. She wanted to get to the root cause of a broken criminal justice system. I saw her chip away. She came early and she left late every single day because, you know, like those mothers, like those sexual assault survivors, when she goes into that Oval Office, when she goes into that Oval Office, I guarantee you she will take all of us with her. All of us.
I mean, there's more energy. She's got more energy than Pelosi or Clinton. So she's getting people hyped up again, which is good. We've got some more stuff to go over, chat. I wanted to talk to you about the uncommitted movement. Right? There has been a big attempt to try to get the attention of Biden and now Harris and try to get them to change the policy of the bear hug of Netanyahu to a policy of making military aid contingent on a ceasefire, making military aid contingent on getting humanitarian resources to Gaza and stopping the carnage that's going on there. And, you know, this started back during the primary. Michigan, there's a number of states that had a lot of uncommitted delegates, right? They, you know, the caucuses, the primaries, they don't elect a candidate, they elect delegates, right? Delegates that are pledged for a certain candidate. But if you can vote uncommitted, and if there's enough uncommitted, then uncommitted gets delegates, and uncommitted has gotten some delegates. So I wanted to give some attention to that now.
So we've had a whole bunch of pro-Palestine protests going on outside of the DNC. There's also a massive, massive police presence. So I'm going to show you some of the video, but let's start with this here. So here we have one of the uncommitted movement co-founders. He went on Eamon's show on MSNBC, and he's basically going to lay out here, look, here's what we want as uncommitted voters, people who refuse to support Joe Biden in the primary because Joe Biden's arming and funding a genocide. Listen to what he says. Here we go.
Backstage at that Detroit rally, I had the chance to shake Vice President Harris's hand.
Sorry, let's.
So we've had a whole bunch of pro-Palestine protests going on outside of the DNC. There's also a massive, massive police presence. So I'm going to show you some of the video, but let's start with this here. So here we have one of the uncommitted movement co-founders. He went on Eamon's show on MSNBC, and he's basically going to lay out here, look, here's what we want as uncommitted voters, people who refuse to support Joe Biden in the primary because Joe Biden's arming and funding a genocide. Listen to what he says. Here we go.
Backstage at that Detroit rally, I had the chance to shake Vice President Harris's hand and tell her I know to be true, that uncommitted voters and uncommitted delegates like me want to support Vice President Harris, but need her to support a policy that stops sending weapons to the Israeli military that is using those weapons to kill people we love, to kill civilians. And I asked her if we could meet with her to discuss that, and she indicated an openness to that. And I do find hope in the fact that Vice President Harris is engaging on this critical issue. But what's very important here is we, in the context of over 40,000 killed using U.S. bombs, in the context of the escalating bombings that are happening of Palestinian civilians in Gaza, of my my own family members in South Lebanon. My aunt called me, told me she's sleeping right now with her slippers under her pillow. So that way, in case the bomb drops, she has something on her feet when she has to run. These are real human beings that we love, that we're connected to. And so my advice to Vice President Harris is, if you want to address the essential demands, the essential cries of protesters, of activists, of regular everyday people all around our country who want to see a better approach, it's not a matter of a change of tone. Tell us, tell me, Vice President Harris, tell our movement, how do you plan to stop sending weapons to kill civilians who happen to be, many of them, people who are our family members, who are our siblings, people we love? I think it's a reasonable ask for us to want to hear about that ahead of this November's election.
That is the most reasonable man of all time. He's saying, look, we want to support you. We understand that you are way better than Donald Trump on virtually every issue, but can you please commit to cutting off the weapons going to Israel, the people who are in the midst of committing a genocide day in, day out? I don't know how anybody can oppose these protesters. I literally don't understand it. I don't understand it because, again, that's a bare minimum ask. A real ask, which I think is more like if the world made sense, this would happen, is also demand Netanyahu gets arrested and Ben-Gvir and Smotrich get arrested and the Israeli generals who are leading the genocide get arrested. Force a peace deal on them. I'm not down with this notion of like, let's just have bilateral talks between the Palestinians who have zero power and zero money and Israel, right? It's like, well, what kind of a deal do you think you're going to get out of that? Netanyahu and even the Israeli Knesset now have said we don't want any Palestinian state at all, period. They've said that. They voted on it. What was the vote? Like 66-8 or something like that to say no Palestinian state ever. So they are not a partner for peace. They don't want peace. Netanyahu wants perpetual genocide. So a real ask is, hey, arrest them. Arrest them and force a peace deal on them. Don't give them a choice. Cut the money, cut the weapons, arrest them, sanction them, the government officials, through the UN. There's so many things you can do. All they're saying is stop arming them so they stop killing our family members. Super duper reasonable, 100% on his side. It makes perfect sense to me. All right, so now let's go to what was going on outside of the DNC. I believe this one here, this from Freedom News, and this was outside the DNC. Here we go.
Who's she? Who's she? You can't hide! This way! Get up! Get up! It is right to the DNC is you can't hide! Sergeant Harris, you can't hide! The DNC is this way! The DNC is this way! Sergeant Harris, you can't hide!
So just so everybody understands, what they did is they set up this like free speech zone, which is significantly away from the DNC. It's like, yeah, you have freedom of speech and can protest, but do it in there, away from anybody and everybody. And it's like, okay, I think that's goofy. I think that's silly. Whatever the legal parameters are, I think they're significantly off. I think you should be I can understand saying, hey, for safety reasons, you have to be X amount away. But to make it so it's like far away is like, okay, then this isn't really free speech. Now, is it? So they broke through one of the barriers. Again, this came out on the first day. Then we have this. I believe this one was from the second day. Here we go. This is when the riot police showed up. Here we go.
Okay, so if it gets...
This looks like it's from Tenet Media.
Way. Free Palestine! No, the sidewalk. Hey, you there! On the sidewalk. On the sidewalk. That's you. It's on the sidewalk.
So yeah, the characteristic sky blue helmets of the Chicago police. I feel like this is. So the question. Oh my God. F12 chat. Seriously. I'm trying to hold this together, chat. Things. There's some shit that I'm not super happy about. And yeah, this is. The concern of the Democrats is that the optics of this situation would be reminiscent of 1968. There's a lot of parallels between now and 1968. You had a incumbent drop out of the race, well into the race, and the person that replaced him not commit to being against the Vietnam War until it was way too late. And in 68, the protest was in Chicago, and it was I'm sorry, I'm just kind of getting pissed off here. It was like a bloodbath for the protesters, right? There were some notable figures, Allen Ginsberg, Bobby Seals, like they're called the Chicago 8, I think. Oh my God, I might have the number wrong. But these people were tried for inciting a riot, and it's a famous case. I think somebody actually made a movie of it. It's like I think is it like a Richard Linklater movie or something like that? I can't remember exactly, right, chat? But regardless, people in the Democratic Party are worried more about the optics of the protest than they are about the hundreds of thousands dying in Gaza. And this is
He rode in a lot of cars with a sibling as a child, so he's like, you can't cross over.
Hey, Palestine, from rapists, murderers, kidnappers, and terrorists like you did.
So as you can see, they got a lot of police out there. They did not want this to be like the 1968 DNC, and that's why they're really going all in. Here's another one for you.
And the whole thing is the thing with this. Does he know? Does he know? The 68 was not a thing where, oh my gosh, the protesters got out of control and they got everything they wanted. No, the 68 thing was kids getting their heads cracked in by cops. All right? Protesting the Vietnam War. And so I don't know what the fuck Kyle's talking about. Like, they had a lot of cops out there. They don't want to repeat. That's what happened in 68. They had a fucking hell of a lot of cops. And they cracked down hard.
One of them getting arrested.
Yes, Tristan, hundreds of thousands.
Tackled, arrested. This one's outside the Israel.
The fact of the matter is we don't know how many people died. We don't know how many people died because the hospitals, which are supposed to keep track of them, have been fucking destroyed. Yeah. The medical professionals have been killed. Like, right? It's like, it's
Israeli consulate.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused too, Christy. I thought this was NCC that we were watching. Apparently not.
All right, so this is what was going on outside. Now, inside, this was when Biden was giving his speech. There was this moment, which is pretty interesting. There were some pro-Palestine folks in the audience. By the way, a lot of people actually in there are pro-Palestine. When any time that somebody said, end the war, let's get a ceasefire, things of that nature, the place would pop. I mean, it would be louder than any other line. So a lot of people in there are pro-Palestine. But here you have...
And I think we're going to have to clear up some of that confusion after the stream, actually. I'm pretty sure. I'm not super happy, chat.
They hold up a banner that says, stop arming Israel. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but you'll see they hold up a banner, then watch what happens.
Impossibility.
Right here. Stop arming Israel.
Impossibility. We're in the grip of a once-in-a-century pandemic. Historic job.
And then this person tries to pull the banner away. And they start a chant of "We love Joe, we love Joe," to try to like drown out. I didn't hear them saying anything, but maybe some people were saying "Stop arming Israel" or whatever. and somebody tried to grab the banner, but they were holding up the banner that said "Stop arming Israel." So they were trying from within. They were trying. And then, do I have more for you here? Yeah, I have this one. This one is from Jordan Chariton, Status Coup. Let's see what he's got for us.
Over 100,000 people are dead, and millions more lives are on the line. The stakes have never been higher. So let's go to those war criminals and let's make them fucking pay for their crimes against humanity.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Fuck the pigs! Fuck the pigs!
There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now I don't think that I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but just in case, chat, you know what happens? They light that flag on fire. They light that flag on fire. Is what happens. I hope that Twitch wouldn't ban me for something like that, but I don't fucking know, dude. Twitch is wild. So since we all know what happens there, we're not gonna watch it, just in case there's some kind of hijinks with me showing that on Twitch, which there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any
video podcast style. They were they had a flag that's like a mix of the American flag and the Israeli flag, and they burned that. Then it looked like they were going to burn the American flag. You could hear the chants there, free Palestine, and they mix it in with fuck the pigs.
Oh, is that a problem, Kyle?
That's fuck the police.
Now look, he's like, people are saying he's pretty good on a lot of issues, but really? Have you been to a protest, dude?
Not quite sure how that goes.
How does that connect? I can't tell. I can't fucking tell. Look, if you don't fucking know, don't report about it, okay?
Goes directly together with when you're talking about Israel and Palestine. But look, people are fucking pissed, right?
I'm pissed.
They're fucking pissed. And
I am pissed.
Because a genocide is going on, and we are arming it and we are funding it. And so this is an attempt to put some semblance of pressure on the Democrats and to make them do the right thing. I don't want to nitpick the protest, but again, the fuck the pigs thing, I don't quite understand how that goes hand in hand with when you're talking about Israel and Palestine, unless, were there riot cops who were beating up some of these people just beforehand? And that's what it's about. Anyway, I really don't know. But on the burning of the flag thing, look, this is...
Oh, thank you, Prolifix. And look, I'm not usually this pissed off. I'm sorry.
This happened the last time too, right? So there were flags being burned at a different protest when Netanyahu was coming to speak in Congress. And man, the right melted down over it. Trump trotted out his proposal, like he brought up previously, to ban flag burning with...
So if you've been to a protest, you know what side the cops are on, what side the cops are always on, right? If you are even vaguely progressive in any way, they are not on your side. They are not there to protect you. They are not there to serve you. They are there to fuck you over. They are there to start a violent situation that they can then take advantage of, that they can then put you in the fucking jail for, that they can fuck with you more. They are there to protect any fucking Nazis or Proud Boys or brown shirts that might be there in the vicinity, right? That's what the cops are there for. And I can't believe that fucking Kyle doesn't get this, right? Like, why would you say fuck the pigs there? Why? Oh my God. Do you, really? Is this that hard? Is that... Okay, I gotta be kind of quiet because I think my roommates have complained about me getting animated and getting upset, but I'm sorry, there's some things that really piss me off, right? There's some things that really piss me off. I'm sure he's... I don't know. I'm not trying to...
A year in prison. Understand, guys, that is deeply against the First Amendment. I mean, we've already had a ruling on the exact issue of flag burning, and even... Conservative Justice Antonin Scalia said, look, you might not like it, but...
Sasha G, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. And those are 5 gifted memberships going to Vox Populi. Also, there's others of you that I think have donated that may not have told me which of the topics you want your... which you want your donos going to. So if that's you... Feel free to let me know, because I wanna help you put your money where your mouth is. A little decorum, please. I mean, you voted for violence.
But it's free speech, right? So this is a settled issue. You cannot make it a crime. It's already been determined. It's protected by the First Amendment. The other part of that is, look, as a matter of principle, if there's ever a time to burn a flag in protest, it is when your country is either doing a genocide or arming and funding a genocide. Genocide is the crime of all crimes. It is mass murder on a gigantic scale, right? So now
look, we're watching Kyle. Obviously, I watch him, and obviously, I like a lot of what he has to say. I'm a little bit, like this burns me up for a lot of reasons, right? And it kind of drives home the degree to which people are being taken advantage of by the Democratic Party, right? The assumptions being made that they've got our vote and that they don't have to do shit. And one of the biggest issues of our lifetime is being completely ignored. And yeah, there's like an exclusion zone, right? They're trying to keep protests out of, out of reach, out of earshot of anybody in that convention. And we're going to see later, kind of the reaction to some people bringing the protest a little bit into the convention. This isn't like protesters like coming in or breaking in, or this isn't some kind of like law breaking, right? These are delegates of the Democratic Party that have a little bit of a conscience and that, are happy to see Kamala take over for Joe Biden, but are hopeful that this means that something different something is going to change in terms of the policy that we can get past, because Joe Biden is probably like the worst in terms of policy, worse than Obama. Democrats aren't great on this. Democrats are cowards all the time, right? But Biden on this particular issue has been particularly bad.
I understand people say, hey, the optics of it, etc. I get it. I get that the optics may be an issue and it might turn some people off or whatever. But I don't know, man. It's hard for me to really get outraged over optics when the core of this is please stop carpet bombing children, right? It's just hard for me.
I mean, yeah, there we go.
To concern troll over optics in a situation like that. But what will happen inevitably, this is always what happens. You'll have the right.
See, here's the whole thing. You can't control the actions of 10,000 people at a protest. You can't. And he's going to mention later that, sometimes there's even agent provocateurs, people at the protest doing things in the name of a movement, in the name of a cause that are not, in fact, down for the cause, right? That they're trying to hurt the cause, right? So for that reason, this is why we don't get fucking scoldy about this shit. And this is why we have things like diversity of tactics, right? We try not to get in each other's way when you go to something like this, all right? It's very important. It's a very important concept to have and to hold.
Focus on the worst examples from these protests and then act like it represents the entire protest, right? So this happened when they were protesting Netanyahu's speech. There was somebody who spray painted the word Hamas on something, and then it gave ammo to the right to say, look, they're out there because they're protesting for Hamas. And it's like, no, the reality is they are protesting against the genocide being carried out by Israel against Palestinians in Gaza. That's what the protest is. But you gave them ammo by writing Hamas on the statue, right? And look, I'm at the point, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. To some, it may be.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You can't fucking clutch your pearls on this shit. All right? Like, look, you've probably said at some point that you don't believe in violence against civilians, right? And violence against children and violence against, right? You said that, all right? That's kind of like all you need to say, right? Because when you get drawn into this condemn Hamas sort of discourse, you end up condemning resistance de facto. And it's just not something that you need to do. It's just not something that's like, I get what he's trying to do. And I get what he's talking about in terms of how, but let me just put it this way. They don't need somebody writing, or spray painting Hamas onto something. They don't need that to associate the protest with Hamas. That is not, there's not a situation in which you could have where they will not have anything that they could twist and use and try to, in order to make this claim. And so that's why this whole, like,
But I would not be even the slightest bit surprised if there are some what's called agent provocateurs in these protests, where you have some people with the feds in these protests, and those are the ones who start trouble and do dumb tactics on the side of the protesters, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Fed who wrote Hamas. And then that made it so the narrative was flipped to, look, they're pro-Hamas protesters. It's a way to delegitimize the entire anti-genocide.
The thing is, it doesn't delegitimize shit, okay? There's pro-IDF people out there too. Nobody's asking them to disavow the motherfucking IDF, all right? And the fact that our side has the imperative to say that, you know, we're against innocent blood being spilled when that should be taken for fucking granted. It puts us at a permanent disadvantage. There is never any time where the other side is forced to do anything similar. And I hate playing into media narratives this way. The police are the only problem I've ever seen at protests. Well, yeah, when there's violence, it usually starts from actions by the police.
Cause, right? And by the same token, I think a lot of those tactics are used even against something as simple as flag burning, right? But flag burning, I can defend on the merits. I think that's the right thing to do in this situation. If there's ever a time to burn a flag in protest, is when you're arming and funding a genocide. But I can't defend the Hamas thing. I'm anti-Hamas, right? So, but either way, putting the tactics aside, this is called pressure. They're trying to put pressure on them to do the right thing, cut off the money and cut off the weapons to Israel. But of course, as always is the case when you get into like activist movements like this, you've seen it a million times, I've seen it a million times. And even as Noam Chomsky said, there are like Antifa elements in there, and Antifa is just the biggest gift to the right for the reason I just described.
I'm sorry, but I don't think you know what Antifa is, Kyle. Anytime you are standing up against fascism, which should be every fucking day, Kyle, you are Antifa. All right? You're literally playing into a media narrative. And without meaning to, I think you're I don't know if you realize that you're attacking people whose sole prerogative is to defend the rest of us out there at a protest who, if you're like me, are not ready to fucking throw down. All right? That's who I think you mean. I think you got black bloc, you know, in the brain, right? I think that's what you're thinking. I think that's what he's thinking of. But he doesn't realize that the black bloc was there at Charlottesville to keep people like Cornel West from getting the shit kicked out of him. Like, this is what they want you to do. Turn around, disavow, you know, just criticize people to you know, preserve some sort of a respectability politics. This is how you get played. This is how you get played.
Because then they could take the fringe examples, define the whole movement by it, and act like they're all.
Wait, Vosh got triggered by the flag burning?
Unreasonable. See, they're all.
I haven't been keeping up with Vosh. We haven't really talked about Vosh in a while.
Pro-Hamas. So I wish that the idiots.
I'm sorry, Chad. I'm trying to chill the fuck out. Because again, I gotta not be too loud.
Would sort of stop doing idiotic things. But having said that, overall, I have to support the protest because they're just trying to stop the mass murder of innocent Palestinians. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen.
Anyway, where are we at? Well, I mean, we're in Chicago, but oh, it's Oprah. It's Oprah. Now, I didn't see her on the list, actually. We're gonna wait until she actually starts to talk. Here we go. Nope. Wait a little bit longer. Make sure the music has died down.
Who says you can't go home again? After watching the Obamas last night, that was some epic fire, wasn't it? Some epic fire. We're now so fired up, we can't wait to leave here and do something. And what we're going to do is elect Kamala Harris.
Is it Winfrey? Yeah, Winfrey. Not I always want to put an H.
I am so honored to have been asked to speak on tonight's theme about what matters most to me, to you, and all of us Americans: freedom. There are people who want you to see our country as a nation of us against them, people who want to scare you, who want to rule you, people who'd have you believe that books are dangerous and assault rifles are safe, that there's a right way to worship.
Yeah, you can definitely hear that there's good speakers here, and there's speakers, right?
But here's the thing. When we stand together, it is impossible to conquer us.
I'm surprised they didn't have like a Chicago night where they had. I'm surprised they didn't put Oprah with. Like she's you know, I don't know. I don't think she's from Chicago, but she.
Ancestors arrived on, we are all in the same boat now.
I think she got big in Chicago. You know, she was in Chicago during her show blowing up. So
far this country has come because he was one of the brilliant Americans who helped to get us where we are. But he also knew that the work is not done. The work will never be done because freedom isn't free. America is an ongoing project. It requires commitment. It requires being open to the hard work and the heart work of democracy. And every now and then, it requires standing up to life's bullies. I know this. I've lived in Mississippi, in Tennessee, in Wisconsin, Maryland, Indiana, Florida, Hawaii, Colorado, California, and California.
She unleashed Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz on us.
Home, Chicago, Illinois. I have actually traveled this country from the redwood forests, love those redwoods, to the Gulf Stream waters. I've seen racism and sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving end of it. But more often than not, what I've witnessed and experienced are human beings, both conservative and liberal, who may not agree with each other, but who'd still help you in a heartbeat if you were in trouble. These are the people who make me proud to say that I am an American. They are the best of America. And despite what some would have you think, we are not so different from our neighbors. When a house is on fire, we don't ask about the homeowner's race or religion. We don't wonder who their partner is or how they voted. No.
Hey, how about what their social class is? Or where they can pay the fire department?
To belong to a childless cat lady?
Oh my God. Look, the Republicans give you a lot to push back on because they're so full of shit and they, attack everybody. But the one thing I don't hear at the DNC enough is, you hear them talk about sometimes the middle class, sometimes the working class, right? I don't hear enough about the poor.
Who work hard for the money. We wish our brothers and sisters well, and we pray for peace. We know all the old tricks and tropes that are designed to distract us from what actually matters, but we are beyond ridiculous tweets and lies and foolery. These are complicated times, people, and they require adult conversation.
Now, people have talked about Oprah as maybe somebody who might enter into politics.
To democracy, and it is the best of America.
And I don't think I've heard her give a political speech before, so this is interesting.
Last couple of nights, we have all seen brave people walk onto this stage and share their most private pain. Amanda and Josh, Caitlin, Hadley, they told us their stories of rape and incest and near-death experiences from having the state deny them the abortion that their doctor explained was medically necessary. And they've told us these things for one reason, and that is to keep what happened to them from happening to anybody else. Because if you do not have autonomy over this, if you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
She gave speeches for Obama when he was running both times. Nice.
Who are battling to keep us from going back to a time of desperation and shame and stone cold fear. They are the new freedom fighters. And make no mistake, they are the best of America. I want to talk now about somebody who's not...
Yeah, the biggest weakness of the Democratic Party is its willingness to throw people under the bus, is its willingness to shut people out of the convention.
Segregated public schools were unconstitutional. That was in 1954, same year I was born. But I didn't have to head to first grade at the all-white McDonough 19 school with a U.S. Marshal by my side like Tessie did. And when I got to school, the building wasn't empty like it was for Tessie. You see, rather than allowing McDonough to be integrated, parents pulled their kids out of the school, leaving only Tessie.
I mean, you see how unpopular that policy was, right?
And Leona Tate to sit in a classroom
and
with the windows papered over to block snipers from attacking their 6-year-old bodies. Tessie passed away.
If people could stand up for that policy, considering, like, did you hear what they said? All the parents took their kids out of that school. There was worries about snipers, right? And the Democratic Party cannot stand up for Palestinians. The Democratic Party will not stand up for homeless people.
Leona and Gail, the New Orleans Four, they were called. They broke barriers, and they paid dearly for it. But it was the grace and guts.
And you hear so much about the stories from the past, right?
That paved the way for another young girl who 9 years later became part of the second...
You hear about the courage of people to stand up in the past, and you just don't see the courage here and now when it's needed, because history's not over, and things are not okay.
Somebody did a beautiful job of showing this young girl how to challenge the people at the top and empower the people at the bottom. They showed her how to look at the world and see not just what is, but what can be. They instilled in her a passion for justice and freedom and the glorious fighting spirit necessary to pursue that passion. And soon, and very soon, soon and very soon, we're going to be teaching our daughters and sons about how this child of an Indian mother and a Jamaican father, two idealistic, energetic immigrants, how this child grew up to become the 47th President of the United States. That is the best of America.
All right, good idea, Blitzkrieg. I'm gonna go to bed too. Good night, everyone.
Let me tell you this. This election isn't about us and them. It's about you and me and what we want our futures to look like. There are choices to be made when we cast our ballot. Now, there's a certain candidate that says if we just go to the polls this one time, that we'll never have to do it again. Well, you know what? You're looking at a registered independent who's proud to vote again and again and again because I'm an American and that's what Americans do. Voting is the best of America. And I have always, since I was eligible to vote, I've always voted my values. And that is what is needed in this election.
Did I forget to turn the stream off?
Calling on all you independents and all you undecideds. You know this is true. You know I'm telling you the truth, that values and character matter.
I'm gonna drink some water. I don't know what's wrong with me.
In leadership and in life. And more than anything, you know this is true, that decency and respect are on the back.
I just thought it would be funny if I went to bed and I left the stream on. I just thought it would be funny.
And just plain common sense.
But thank you, Omega Star. Omega Star says, I love you, your community so much. Don't be sad.
Decency and respect. They're the ones that give it to us. So, we are Americans. We are Americans. Let us choose loyalty to the Constitution over loyalty to any individual. Because that's the best of America. And let us choose optimism over cynicism, because that's the best of America. And let us choose inclusion over retribution. Let us choose...
That's really funny, person with runes in your name. I knew you were a Nazi just by looking at your username. I could tell you were a Nazi. It's really easy to see.
Because that's the best of America.
And I would encourage you, as a follower of the Fuhrer, you should follow your leader. You know? The way he ended things?
We won't be set back
by losing World War II. That's what I mean. Don't read too much into it. Literally fucking runes in their name. Literally runes in their name.
Let us choose. Let us choose truth.
Yo, chat just started a hype train.
And let us choose joy.
Joy.
Because that...
Dragon Princess, thank you for the 100 bits.
But more than anything else, let us choose freedom.
You two just started a hype train.
Because that's the best of America. We're all...
Yeah, choose to move to... That's right, Miskatonic. Move to Argentina and change his name.
Thank you, Chicago. Thank you,
I apologize for being blunt. Why folks don't protest Trump's rallies as much. Brits asked and didn't seem to understand the reality. Oh, is that what happened? I was afraid it was me getting emotional. I was afraid that I was making it hard for people to. I felt really bad about that. So I took a second to just like kind of dry my tears and stuff because I don't want to make anybody's night worse, right? Oh my god, a megastar with 100 bits. We in this together. Just got back. They got fucking Oprah. They did. Yeah, she wasn't on the list. She wasn't like scheduled, but here she is. Yo, Dragon Princess with 100 bits. Oh, that's really sweet of you. Oh my god, chat, I'm gonna cry again. You're being really sweet. I hope you know that, chat. You're being really sweet. I appreciate you. They try to take the runes from us. Oh yeah, I shouldn't. I know that's like I shouldn't say that like anybody that fucks with runes is like automatically a fan of the mustached one, a Nazi, so to speak, right? Like I'm just gonna say it. Oh my god, chat, I gotta get myself together. Gotta pull it together. We've been to therapy. We don't mind your emotions. Yeah, I don't know. It's not professional. The only emotions I'm allowed to have are the emotions of righteous indignation at the sussy bakas out there pretending to be leftists while fucking with all kinds of right-wing weirdos. And we're going to be talking about one of those people very shortly, maybe even tonight. We might even get into that a little bit tonight. Everyone at the DNC gets a new flat screen. That's right. So John Legend is next. We still have like a lot of speakers. All right. So my understanding is that, let's see, when did they schedule? So every night there's the thing was scheduled for like, wait, Central Time. Yeah, for the last round of speakers, the last hour of speakers, which I think we're in now. Yeah, this is Westmore, so we're in the last hour. Oh my god. Oh, you just hit the hype train. Twitch, you just hit a hype train. This is all my weasels for the whole week. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I appreciate it. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by chat's generosity. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself and those you love first and foremost. But that's a hype train level 1. I'm sorry for being so emotional, chat. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. My 200 bits is all I can afford. Seriously, keep your bits, okay? Keep your bits, keep your money if you need it for yourself. Like, take care of yourself first and foremost. I learned this when I did like fundraising for an org that the people that are the most likely to donate to the org, which we were supposed to, be fundraising, are the people that sometimes that need to keep that money for themselves. So I would just encourage you to only donate if you can, if everything's well taken care of, right? It's the people that, those are the people, kind of people that, Nazis paraded onanism too. They ripped off. Oh yeah, the whole thing about the skinhead movement started out not with kind of like anti-racist, if I'm not mistake, I can't speak correctly. Nothing to apologize. It's tough when people are cold and heartless. It makes it worse for those who. Well, look, I am trying to like walk a fine line here, right? Because this is a subject that people are excited about right now. And look, I'm a little bit excited too. All right, I think Kamala is a huge improvement on Joe Biden, both in terms of her ability to win the race and therefore deny Trump another 4 years, and in terms of her policy potentially, right? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I've been disappointed before, so I don't want to get my hopes up too much, right? But at the same time, like I'm just faced with like a lot of disappointment. It's almost like centuries of disappointment. But yeah, thank you on Twitch. You got a hype train level. You got the hype train to level 2. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, what do we got? Westmore, we got Buttigieg, I think, coming up next. John Legend and Sheila E. will be performing. Amy Klobuchar, Claw Mom will be there. We've got a former student of Tim Walz to tell us all about Tim Walz's communist trips to the Great Wall. Right, how Tim Walz indoctrinated his students with communism in China. The former student of Tim Walz, and then we got Tim Walz himself. But I'm trying to think. Okay, so 9 o'clock. Okay, so I mean they're less than an hour maybe late. Like this round of speakers, which started, I think this just started now, right? So it was probably supposed to start about 54 minutes ago.
Where true patriots do not whine and complain, we put our heads down and we get to work. 75 days and a wake up.
But yeah,
future that those who came before us hope for, and those who come after us that they deserve. And 75 days and a wake up to elect a leader who is willing to believe in the best of us, and that leader is Kamala Harris, the next president of the United States.
Shakespeare, thank you for the super chat. Okay, we gotta mute this before they hit me with more music. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Shakespeare. Concerto for 2 violins in C minor. Oh my god, I'm trying to think of the flats. There. Wait, it's the relative minor of E flat major, so what? We got like... We got an E flat, we got an A flat, we got a B flat. Do we have a D flat? Is there a D flat in C minor? I don't think so. That wouldn't make sense. Actually, that really wouldn't make sense. God, what am I thinking? I got sucked into the relative major, chat. That's just what happens when you know too much music theory. You ever get sucked into a relative major? Oh, it's Buttigieg. Buttigieg.
Going anywhere, in service of a good cause. And friends, we gather in a very good cause, electing Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the next president and vice president of the United States.
D flat is C sharp. That is true.
The choice could not be clearer. Donald Trump rants about law and order, as if he wasn't a convicted criminal running against a prosecutor. As if we were going to forget that crime was higher on his watch. Talks about the forgotten man, hoping we'll forget that the only economic promise that he actually kept was to cut taxes for the rich. And don't even get me started on his new running mate. At least Mike Pence was polite.
Wait, Sheila E. plays the timbales, right?
If you don't live the life that he has in mind for you, then you don't count. Someone who said that if you don't have kids, you have, quote, no physical commitment to the future of this country. You know, Senator, when I deployed to Afghanistan, I didn't have kids then. Many of the men and women who went outside the wire with me didn't have kids either. But let me tell you, our commitment to the future of this country was pretty damn physical. Choosing a guy like J.D. Vance to be America's next vice president sends a message. And the message is that they are doubling down on negativity and grievance. Committing to a concept of campaigning best summed up in one word: darkness.
Shakespeare, there was a Kick streamer that got like Dome on stream.
Believe that America today is in the market for darkness.
Like timbales are like, that's one of my favorite instruments.
A better kind of politics. Yes, politics at its worst can be ugly, crushing, demeaning, but it doesn't have to be. At its best, politics can be empowering, uplifting. It can even be a kind of soul craft.
A soul craft?
Teaches me that the world isn't made up.
Is he gonna craft our souls?
But rather that each of us is capable of good and bad things.
Look, I feel like this guy's
Leaders matter because of what they bring out in each
like,
of us.
if you don't know the lore behind Mayo Pete,
Right now, the other side is appealing to what is smallest within you.
like, he may be
Comes from going back to the past.
a former employee of the company. All right?
They're telling you that your neighbor or
Like, Mayor Pete very likely was involved in some kind of intelligence work.
but is now the enemy. I believe in a better politics, one that finds us at our most decent and open and brave. The kind of politics that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are offering. And as you have felt these many days, that kind of
Yeah, well, it's like a...
better to be part of.
Wait, what is timbales? Is it like a... Is it like two drums, like two kind of snare, sort of?
As well as power. And if all of that sounds naive, let me insist that I have come to this view not by way of idealism, but by way of experience. Not
Yeah.
just the experience of my unlikely
Tim's gonna
career
turn our souls into like,
in Indiana,
materia.
in Washington, serving in uniform.
Serving
Thinking of something much more basic.
the company.
I'm thinking of dinner time at our house in Michigan. When the dog is barking and the air fryer is beeping and the mac and cheese is boiling over, and it feels like all the political negotiating experience in the world is not enough for me to get our 3-year-old son and our 3-year-old daughter to just wash their hands and sit at the table. It's the part of our day when politics seems the most distant, and yet the makeup of our kitchen table, the existence of my family, is just one example of something that was literally impossible as recently as 25 years ago when an anxious teenager
Have I played Final Fantasy VII? Actually, that one I haven't played.
in this world.
I have not played 7. I played 8. And I played 10. And I played 13. But I've never played Final Fantasy 7.
Possible to possible. From possible to real. From real to almost ordinary in less than half a lifetime. But that didn't just happen. It was brought about through idealism and courage, through organizing and persuasion and storytelling, and yes, through politics, the right kind of politics. The kind of politics that can make an impossible dream into an everyday reality.
Centrist, neoliberal politics.
In your kitchen. But I know, as sure as I am standing here, that everything in it.
Chat, I bet he's got a nice air fryer, right? I bet his air fryer is nicer than mine.
And the
I bet it is.
Late into the night there.
I bet it's really good mac and cheese too.
To demand more from our politics than a rerun of some TV wrestling death match.
Wait, which online one? The 14?
So this November,
Oh my god, I love those nails.
we get to choose our president. We get to choose our policies, but most of all, we will
Mr. Antonetti, nice.
politics. A politics that calls us to our better selves and offers us a better everyday. That is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz represents. That is what Democrats represent. That is what awaits us when America decides to end Trump's politics of darkness.
People say that Buttigieg bites Obama's like cadence, right? His way of speaking.
This is what we will work for every day to November and beyond. So let's go win this. Thank you, Democrats. Thank you.
The Pod Johns, Pod Save America actually threw some shade at Mayor Pete and Josh Shapiro when they were talking about the Obama speech and like the fact that everybody is always trying to imitate Barack Obama's speaking pattern.
Going to Congress and then becoming governor, I see the guy that was a first sergeant. I see a guy that's full of.
And they're like, don't try to.
You get enough time to sleep when you're dead.
Don't try to imitate his cadence. Like, look at the way that he puts together a speech, right?
Out of the Marine Corps, going back to school.
Like,
you really wanted to know what the experience was.
They're, and you know, so the Pod Save America, if you don't know, you're talking about people that were former speechwriters, in some cases for the Clintons, or sorry, in some cases for Hillary, and in some cases for Obama, and they're together now on a podcast, and you know, these are, you know, there's a lot of like a lot of knowledge of how to run a campaign, right? And yeah, you know, these are centrists. These are absolutely, you know, neoliberal centrists, right? But you know, in talking about the Obama imitators, right? Which I gotta think that they're talking about Shapiro and they're talking about Buttigieg, right? Those are the two foremost people. Kind of complaining that it's like, okay, so everybody's like trying to steal Obama's like cadence, like the rhythm with which Obama speaks, right? They think that's the magic. If I could speak with that rhythm, then I would. Yeah, there we go. There's their timbales. Wait, what? How? Yeah. There's like. And that cowbell looking thing is called I think it's called the clave. I only knew this because I got into Tito Puente for a little while. Or wait, is the clave the thing that's more like a concrete sounding? Yeah, clave also refers to refers to a type of rhythm. I think you play that on the timbales by hitting your sticks together. I think that's how that works. But yeah, actual clave is like a kind of a hollow stick with a divot cut out of the middle. And like it's like a hollow stick with a divot cut in the middle, and then a smaller stick that you hit it with. Oh, yeah, the block. I was thinking of the block. Anyway, sorry, chat. Music shit. I mean, I actually really like Sheila E. too. It's too bad we can't listen to this music on stream. I wonder what they're playing. Is it one of his songs? One of her songs? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's you know, you could hook different like see how she's got the two cowbells on her kit? You could also hook up a block. God damn. See, you know that guitar solo is sick. You don't even have to hear. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta be sick. So now I don't know if he's gonna speak or if he's just here to perform. Wait, so it seems like they have like so she's been up. Has she been up here in between other speakers? I feel like they have like kind of like an MC role every night. But it's not quite like at the Oscars.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And to take us there, please welcome to the stage Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar.
It's Club Mom. It's Club Mom. No, it's music. It's music. Oh my God, this is my kryptonite, chat. I got too excited. I turned it off. There she is.
Of Minnesota, where purple reigns, I stand before you in support of our next Vice President, Tim Walz.
She's kind of quirked up, isn't she?
Who turned a team that was 0-27 into state champions. In Minnesota, we trust a hunter who has stood in a deer stand in 10-degree weather. In Minnesota, we trust a candidate who has made a
It's Velma.
video on how to change a
Is this like Velma all grown up?
out headlight. And I know we aren't alone.
Chat, do you want to...
We love a dad in plaid.
A dad in plaid. It sounds like you're really into that dad in plaid.
So Tim and I go way back. He taught high school right down the road from where my husband John grew up. My mother-in-law even brought him and Gwen a Parmesan chicken dinner when their son was born. That's what we do in America.
Oh, thank you, Lizard. Yeah, Lizard's got it for me. Lizard said claves are two little wooden cylinders that you clink together. I always think of it as the... I mean, it's also like the...
And his fellow service members. And the truth is, that matters. Who better to take on the price of gas than a guy who could pull over to help change your tire? Who better to serve our nation than a guy who has served in uniform? Who better to find common ground than a guy with Midwestern common sense? A former football coach knows how to level the playing field. And a former public school teacher knows how to school the likes of J.D. Vance.
Yo!
What you've done with your life matters. And what you do with power matters too. Tim has delivered paid...
Yeah, bring a hot dish.
...school lunches and the biggest tax cut in Minnesota history.
Wait, so is Klobuchar? She's from Minnesota too, right?
From a red district in a purple state, Tim has brought Minnesota together. And together with Vice President Kamala Harris, I know he will do the same for our nation. America, there is so much that we share, so much that connects us. Way up north in Minnesota, out of Lake Itasca, flows the Mississippi River. It starts small and it grows wider. It flows down to Wisconsin and to Iowa. It goes down to Illinois and to Missouri. It goes to Kentucky and Tennessee. It goes to Arkansas, and it goes way down.
She's Minnesota.
And then it goes all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana, where the spirit of our nation's resilience abounds. So let us commit here and now to cross the river of our divides to get to a higher ground.
Oh my God, you couldn't... Spoken like a true centrist.
To elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
But like, she doesn't really have the Midwestern. She doesn't have the like typical.
From Minnesota.
I know the Minnesota accent, right? It's like, you don't say unknown. You say unknown, right? That's like the key to the.
On to push you out of a snowbank. I know this because Tim Walz has pushed me out of a snowbank.
He has?
I grew up next door to the Walzes in Mankato. Mr. Walz was also my geography teacher and my coach. Not for high school football, but for 7th grade basketball and track.
Chat, I feel like we should, let's get into the big chat, okay?
And track.
Let's get into the full-scale stream.
There was a kid in the high school who couldn't afford to pay for lunch, and he ran up a lot of debt. And Tim and Gwen decided they'd help pay it off. They started calling around the district to see if there were any positions they could fill to make a little extra money, and that's how he wound up coaching us 7th graders.
Everybody jump in the other chat.
Coach Walz got us excited about what we might achieve together. He believed in us, and he helped us believe in each other. and his leadership stuck. That track team went on to win a state title, just like the football team. That's right. Speaking of which, come on out, Scarlets. Yeah!
No, it's music. It's music. Just kidding. Wait, what are we doing? So wait, these are his football team from different years, maybe? Yeah, I don't think they were all on the same football team together. This is college football vibes. He's what? So what? His deal was he was the football coach and the LGBTQ club coordinator.
You know, all this got me thinking about the kinds of leaders we need. We want the people in charge to be genuine, compassionate.
Large men clapping, right?
The thing is, there are people in our neighborhoods who fit this description. The kind of people who display quiet leadership by helping kids pay for their lunches, by bringing teams together to believe in each other. And when we're stuck in the snow, they push us out. Well, in my neighborhood, we always wish that people like that would run for office. Well, in my neighborhood, someone like that did run for office.
But if they're gonna run for office, then chat, who's gonna drive the snowplow?
Thanks very much.
Wait, so here's what I want to know. Like, right, if he's gonna run for office, then who's gonna drive the snowplow?
Out here.
No, mute.
Where he spent summers working the family farm. There were just
No, I feel like some of the stuff that I got hit for last night in terms of copyrighted music, I feel like some of it was actually just like incidental, like stuff that was in some of the ads, right? Because just because they license it for the ad doesn't mean that that they won't hit you for.
it would be to have a football coach involved. He inspired his students, and he changed lives.
He is just so joyful in everything that he does, but I think also standing up for, what he believes to be right, stands up to bullies.
Then...
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Like, I know you want to see the ads, but... Yeah, who's gonna clean off the snow? Who's gonna like clear the snow off the windshields if he runs? All right, Shorts chat, last chance to jump in. Jump into the big chat. This is your chance. We're going to keep the stream going, but it's going to be in the big chat. You can either hit that, you can either click on that link that's in the pinned comment, the link that I just left, or it should maybe raid you. It should show you. I don't know how raids work, but you should get the ability to click on something at some point, and come on over to where the rest of us are in the big stream. Wait, nope. I almost ended the wrong stream.